Chapter 1791, Getting Another Rule Path Rank 8 Immortal Gu. Chapter 1791 Getting Another Rule Path Rank 8 Immortal Gu. An immortal Gu floated in front of Fang Yuan, emitting rank 8 aura. This immortal Gu was like a cocoon, but it was not white, it was pitch black like iron. When held, it gave a cold and hard metallic feeling. This was rank 8 Rule Path Immortal Gu, Addition. It consumed pearl thread water as food. Pearl thread water was a rank 8 water path immortal material. It looked like an ordinary type of crystal clear water on the surface, but if one placed their hand into the water, they would be able to grab onto water threads and pull them out of the water. The water threads were long and silky, pearls gathered along the threads as they linked together, creating a beautiful necklace made of pearls strung on a thread. But if the threads were pulled upwards continuously, the pearls would shrink until all the water became long threads. The immortal Gu looked like an oval black cocoon, even though it had no mouth or holes. As long as it was submerged in the pearl thread water for 8 days and night, it would be full. The next feeding would be 80 years later. There are 36 years until the next feeding session. Bos Sherba already has enough pearl thread water. I can transact the rest away with Eastern Seas Gu immortals. Fang Yuan was very clear about this, because he had already taken Bos Sherba's immortal Gu and soul. Bos Sherba had a lake in his immortal Aperture. The lake was huge and contained a large number of ancient water spiders, as well as 2 immemorial water spiders, one male one female. The pearl thread water was the saliva of the immemorial water spiders. It was the essence formed after they lived a long time in water. It took a long time for them to accumulate droplet by droplet. If one did not collect it in time, the ancient water spiders would consume these pearl thread water to increase their strength. As a rule path Gu immortal, Bos Sherba's immortal Aperture mostly had a rule path environment. He had spent a lot of effort to create this lake. The feeding of immortal Gu was sometimes troublesome. For example, Bos Sherba had a rule path immortal Gu, but its food was pearl thread water. To be able to feed it, Bos Sherba had to create a water path resource point in his immortal Aperture to produce pearl thread water. This was not easy for a rule path Gu immortal. But for Fang Yuan, it was no issue. His mini Eastern Sea was too huge. After the water spiders entered it, it felt like going from a village to a city. Fang Yuan could even give these water spiders an entire sea area to live in. With a large space and a more suitable water path environment, these water spiders would breed better and grow even more numerous. Fang Yuan, who had sovereign immortal Aperture, was able to cultivate multiple paths. He had a huge advantage in raising Gu too. Bos Sherba's immortal Gu were all taken away. He only had one rank 8 immortal Gu. Other than that, there were some rank 7 and 6 immortal Gu. Among them were 2 rank 7 immortal Gu. They were 1 and 3. Number Gu were the largest series of rule path Gu worms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they could be said to be limitless. Even though Fang Yuan had so many rank 8 immortal Gu, the truth was, it was very hard for a rank 8 Gu immortal to even have one rank 8 immortal Gu in normal situations. Bos Sherba had 1, Xianxia had 2, that was because these 2 were the leaders of their righteous path superforce. They had deep foundation and countless inheritances. Normal lone cultivator rank 8s would not even be able to get a rank 8 immortal Gu. For example, Northern Plains' old ancestor Shui, who had great battle strength, he was the number 1 demonic Gu immortal in Northern Plains, but he had no rank 8 Gu immortal. Even Heavenly Court had many rank 8 Gu immortals but few rank 8 immortal Gu. The ratio was terrible. In the previous life, when Longevity Heaven invaded Heavenly Court, there was quite an awkward situation. Many rank 8 Gu immortals awakened, but they did not have enough immortal Gu to use. Bos Sherba's most valuable killer move was the consecutive hit method. If he could get 18 consecutive hits, Bos Sherba would be able to easily kill a rank 8 Gu immortal on his level. In the previous life, when he fought against Xianxia, this Heavenly Court member was very wary of this. He tried very hard to prevent him from getting 18 consecutive hits. Honestly speaking, Fang Yuan was a little disappointed. He originally thought that since Bos Sherba specialized in the consecutive hit method, his rank 8 rule path immortal Gu might be consecutive Gu, to think that it was addition Gu. Consecutive Gu was more famous than addition Gu, it was also more practical in different situations. With rank 8 consecutive Gu, Fang Yuan could use it to link many different killer moves to achieve the effect of a consecutive move. Consecutive move was one of the techniques to utilize killer moves. By linking 2 or more killer moves together, they could unleash greater power. Normally, only elites among Gu immortals could use this. Back then, Blazing Heaven Demoness possessed this technique. She created a consecutive move with Angry Bird and Fire Prison. It had great power. At least Great Grandmaster attainment level was needed to design consecutive moves. One could see that Blazing Heaven Demoness consecutive move used only fire path killer moves. But using consecutive Gu, one could link the killer moves of various paths. This difference was very significant. For example, Fang Yuan's Myriad Ghost Sword Dragon and Great Thief Ghost Hand, or Jade Flow Pearl and Strength Path Giant Hand, there were many possible combinations. He could raise his battle strength to an unprecedented level. Bos Sherba's Immortal Gu, killer moves, and soul were taken by Fang Yuan, only his body and immortal aperture were left. Even though Fang Yuan could annex the aperture with his current attainment level, he decided to wait a while before doing it. Because after annexing the aperture, the timing of his upcoming tribulation would be reset. This was a minor detail, but it was quite important. The annexing of immortal apertures was temporarily halted, but Bai Ningbing and the rest were still extremely busy now. During this period of time, Fang Yuan plundered and annexed many immortal apertures. The numbers were shocking. The newly added blessed lands and grotto heavens were too much. Even though the sovereign immortal aperture was still stable, it had severely affected the ecology of the immortal aperture. There was quite a bit of chaos. Bai Ningbing and the rest were busy dealing with the turmoil. Earlier they had suppressed it with brute force, now they were meticulously resolving it. Whichever mountain needed to be moved, which river should be kept, which beast group should be relocated, while plants should be cultivated. All these laborious and lengthy tasks were all calculated by Fang Yuan through deductions. There was a perfect arrangement overall. This was the benefit of having wisdom path methods. The new setup would not only allow these resources to grow properly, they could even benefit each other. He had even considered the future annexing of Bos Sherba's Immortal Aperture and Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. He had allocated the space for them in advance. Gu immortals of other paths would have a huge headache thinking about it. They would not be able to arrange it this specifically. A lot of resources would be wasted. The losses incurred usually made many Gu immortals feel severely pained. However, Fang Yuan was busier. His time path clone and his main body were both cultivating diligently, but they still felt they did not have enough time or energy. Fang Yuan wanted to split himself into several portions to work hard together. His rule path attainment level had risen. The attainment level was the foundation of Gu cultivation. With the rise in attainment level, many things would change. The immortal would transform greatly. Especially since rule path Gu could be widely used. After getting so many rule path immortal Gu, Fang Yuan had to conceptualize more killer moves or integrate them into his killer moves, otherwise, he would be letting down his own hard work and planning. The immortal aperture management could be delegated to his subordinates to a large extent, but there were still many things that Fang Yuan had to do personally. The training of killer moves was an important aspect. Bos Sherba's consecutive hit method could be set aside, while he was already familiar with Xianxia's time path methods, but Tao Zhu's true inheritance had two main methods that Fang Yuan had to learn no matter what. They were extremely crucial. Giant Sun's true inheritance, Thieving Heaven's true inheritance, Longhair's true inheritance, they were all incredibly profound. Fang Yuan would gain much insight every time he comprehended them. For example, Giant Sun's true inheritance. Fang Yuan could not deduce the identity of Bos Sherba, who had joined the Southern Border group that pursued him. That was because Southern Border's righteous path had no lack of wisdom path Gu immortals. They had concealed the secret well. What alerted Fang Yuan was the fact that his luck felt pressured for some reason. Later, during the battle, he observed carefully and finally discovered the threat of Bos Sherba. Fang Yuan's luck path cultivation had grown a lot. If this was earlier, he would not be able to sense it. Other than Northern Plains Gu immortals, Fang Yuan could reliably use luck path methods against his enemies. He would often gain unexpectedly good results. Because there were only 3 luck path true inheritances, arranged well by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, they did not become widespread in the world. Even Heavenly Court was searching hard for them without any gains. The same went for Southern Border's righteous path. Second was Thieving Heaven's true inheritance. Recently, if he had not gained new insight, Fang Yuan would not be able to modify Great Thief Ghost Hand. Third was Long Hair's true inheritance. Even though Fang Yuan had quasi-supreme grandmaster attainment level, he still had gains when he looked at Long Hair's true inheritance. Without considering other matters, the conceptualization of Gu as before had much progress because Fang Yuan had researched Long Hair's true inheritance multiple times. To speak the truth, this was the first time Fang Yuan had a feeling of being stuffed. He felt like he was having indigestion. His sovereign immortal aperture was very strong, it could absorb many immortal apertures while remaining stable. But he had to comprehend too many things, there were too many killer moves to modify, he had too many true inheritances to learn from. Each one of these true inheritances would change the future of a normal person, it would benefit their entire life, it would even influence the order of the world. Right now, Fang Yuan had too many true inheritances in his possession. Red Lotus True Inheritance, Spectral Soul's True Inheritance, Giant Sun's True Inheritance, Genesis Lotus True Inheritance, 2 Thieving Heaven True Inheritances, Long Hair's True Inheritance which was on par with these venerable inheritances, and Tao Zhu's True Inheritance which was also quite powerful. Fang Yuan had countless immortal Gu, he had enough rank 8 immortal Gu for almost all rank 8 Gu immortals in this world to feel ashamed about themselves. He even had rank 9 immortal Gu. And his subordinates. Different from the previous life, he had many subordinates in this life. Most of them were elites that were much stronger than the ordinary members of a super force. At this stage, Fang Yuan's accumulation and foundation was already at a world-shocking level. As long as he had a period of time to fully process them, Fang Yuan's strength would reach the peak of rank 8. But he lacked time. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly to himself internally. In the previous life, he already felt that he had insufficient time, but it was worse in this life, this feeling was even more intense. Fang Yuan estimated, even though he had the light of wisdom, in this situation, he needed at least 100 years to fully absorb everything and grasp these true inheritances, researching and innovating so that he could gain his own insights and create even greater results. On one hand, I can modify the immortal aperture's rate of time to get more time for myself. On the other hand, I need to explore more dream realms and raise my attainment levels. It was far easier for me to comprehend Long Hair's true inheritance compared to the true inheritances of Thieving Heaven, Giant Sun, and Genesis Lotus. And finally, I need more manpower, I need more clones. Under Fang Yuan's expectant gaze, a few days later, Dang Hun Mountain finally got restored to its peak condition. This was far earlier than during his previous life. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1792, Shocking the World. Chapter 1792 Shocking the World. A crystal mountain stood tall within Mini's southern border. It was pink throughout and gave off a dreamy illusory light. It was the famous secluded domain of heaven and earth recorded in U003CU003C. The Legends of Renzu 003EU003E, Dang Hun Mountain. Right now, Dang Hun Mountain had almost fully regained its former glory. But it was not entirely repaired yet. Like the previous life, Fang Yuan was worried that Heavenly Court might have a method similar to Fixed Immortal Travel's killer move. Of course, it was already extremely close to complete restoration, the decline in Guts Gu production was negligible, Fang Yuan could accept it. Rank 6 Rockman Gu Immortal Shi Cheng arrived before the mountain. Even though he knew that Fang Yuan had Guts Gu, when he saw this legendary mountain personally, he was greatly stirred, excitement flashed in his eyes with incomparable light. Dang Hun Mountain, Guts Gu, he muttered. Guts Gu had an incredible significance to the rock men. Rock men were all male, they had strong and tough bodies that created a huge burden on their soul. The more active a rockman was, the more damage their soul would receive. Thus, rock men would spend 80% of their whole life sleeping and nurturing their soul. After an old rockman dies, the soul and rocks they split into will form new rock men, and inherit a portion of the old rockman's memories, or some important experiences. In some cases, old rock men sleep too much and their soul foundation accumulates to a degree, they would split apart a portion of their bodies to form new tiny rock men. This unique reproduction method meant that the rockman's soul was the key to their strength. The stronger the rockman's soul, the more rock men they could reproduce. However, rock men were variant humans that possessed earth path Tao marks from birth, it conflicted with soul path. Thus, soul path methods that could increase the strength of their soul were very rare for the rock men. But Guts Gu was different, it was formed from a secluded domain of heaven and earth, even though it was a mortal Gu, its ability to strengthen the soul could affect even Gu immortals. After a rockman used it, the effect would be quite extraordinary. Back then, when Fang Yuan had just obtained Hu immortal blessed land, he also nurtured some rock men. Shi looked at Dang Hun Mountain as he could almost see the rise of his entire rockman tribe. They had a way to become stronger now, how could he not feel excited? His emotions surged intensely, he felt that the decision to follow Fang Yuan was extremely wise for both him and the rockman tribe. Fang Yuan was observing all of Shi Cheng's expressions. He was quite satisfied by it. This time, Fang Yuan purposely asked Shi Cheng to come over while collecting Guts Gu. It was to lure him and feel that the future was bright. As long as he followed Fang Yuan, he would gain an incredible amount of benefits. After a while, Shi Cheng calmed down as he started to control the formation. Fang Yuan had formation path and soul path attainment, he did not lack immortal Gu. Furthermore, soul path cultivation was most important right now. He went around Dang Hun Mountain and set up an immortal formation. Shi Cheng was given permission by Fang Yuan to manipulate the formation. The formation resonated, a gray-blue light was shot out, it was like fog or smoke, quickly surrounding the whole of Dang Hun Mountain. Dang Hun Mountain shook lightly, the pink crystal mountain gave off a faint light that quickly dyed the gray-blue fog into a pink color. The pink color spread in the fog and quickly covered the entire formation. There was a large number of soul beasts and soul cores inside the formation. Under the effect of the pink fog, the soul beasts and soul cores vanished rapidly without a trace. After a while of operation, Guts Gu started forming, going from single digits to the thousands. Shi Cheng expressed deep shock on his face. What sort of efficiency is this? The number of Guts Gu is still increasing so rapidly, it is reaching tens of thousands soon. This soul path formation was created by modifying the contents of spectral soul true inheritance, along with Fang Yuan's own immortal Gu, he named it soul expending myriad guts formation. It produced at least 10,000 Guts Gu each time. This was definitely more efficient than using Dang Hun Mountain alone. Of course, the condition was that he needed enough soul beasts and soul cores to create 10,000 Guts Gu. Fang Yuan had already prepared sufficiently. Earlier, he had arranged cooperation with Fang clan to develop the Green Ghost Desert in Western Desert. This was a way to obtain soul beasts stably in huge quantity. Even though Fang Yuan had such a terrifying appetite for soul beasts and soul cores, Green Ghost Desert was able to fulfill his needs with great ease. This desert was too huge, it had countless soul beasts, it was truly a soul path giant resource point. It was a pity that this desert was inside the territory of Fang clan which cultivated formation path. And Qin Chou was still hiding inside Green Ghost Desert, it was a huge threat. As long as it remained, Green Ghost Desert would have a fatal danger, it was not a safe place. Fang Yuan did not even think of buying soul cores in Treasure Yellow Heaven or extorting Southern Borders Yang clan, because doing that would leak some important information. In the previous life, Fang Yuan only repaired Dang Hun Mountain a long time after now, even after he repaired it, he lacked immortal essence, soul beasts, and soul cores, his progress was greatly delayed. This time around, not only did he repair Dang Hun Mountain early, he even had a good supply of soul beasts and soul cores. This would allow his soul path foundation to rise rapidly. Fong Yuan's soul went into the soul-expending myriad guts formation directly. With the use of the formation to help him absorb Guts Gu, Fong Yuan used 10,000 Guts Gu in an instant. The effect of Guts Gu was so evident, his soul inflated like a balloon, becoming a giant in just a few breaths of time. Fong Yuan's soul flew out of the formation, arriving at Luopa Valley, who was nearby. Bewilderment fog covered his soul as it started to become looser. Luopa wind cut and sliced his soul, the wounds that it created were incomparably painful. Pain, pain, pain. This pain originated from the depths of the soul. It was more painful than dying by 1,000 cuts. Fong Yuan was almost going berserk. But he controlled himself. A moment later, he flew out with a heavily damaged soul. Going back into the soul path formation, he used the Guts Gu to recover as his size expanded again. Guts Gu was the most perfect nutrient for the soul. While the cultivation in Luopa Valley made his soul as tempered as steel, all the impurities were removed. Like this, after 3 rounds, Fong Yuan's soul reached 10 million man soul. Shi Cheng, who was controlling the formation, became tongue-tied. He was extremely shocked, being in disbelief. Dang Hun Mountain and Luopa Valley were the sacred lands for soul cultivation. Their reputation was deeply justified. Fong Yuan sighed to himself, thinking, the toughest part is finally over. Earlier, because his soul foundation was expending rapidly, he was almost forced to use other soul foundation methods. Even though these soul path methods were exceptional, they all had drawbacks. Only Dang Hun Mountain and Luopa Valley were perfect in their usage. For example, it was like lifespan extension methods compared to lifespan Gu. Oh my heavens! Shi Cheng praised as he sighed deeply. He had finally reacted and accepted this dreamlike truth. Fong Yuan's soul foundation rose like he was on a rocket. It almost shattered Shi Cheng's common sense. His sense of value and life were also in deep chaos. He could not express his agitated feelings in words. His fingers were trembling. As long as we follow Lord Fong Yuan and walk behind him, our Rockman tribe will definitely reach the peak of this world. With these 2 soul path sacred lands, we will have foundation that surpasses the 5 regions Gu immortal world. Shi Cheng had no idea that Fong Yuan was not satisfied yet. It is a pity I do not have pacifying soul soup, otherwise, my soul path cultivation speed will be even faster and more terrifying. Wisdom path cultivation emphasized on 3 aspects of thoughts, wills and emotions. Soul path also had 3 aspects of strengthening, refining, and pacifying the soul. The former 2 had the ultimate methods of cultivation. They were Dang Hun Mountain and Luopa Valley. Meanwhile, pacifying soul soup from the bewitching lake would pacify the soul. This was recorded in U003 CU003 The Legends of Renzu 003 EU003E. After reaching a certain level of soul cultivation, the soul would gradually detach from the body. The soul, a portion, would fly out and result in incidents like blanking out or being physically unconscious. At this time, drinking pacifying soul soup would resolve this problem. Fong Yuan did not have pacifying soul soup. He could only use other methods instead. They were not as good as his other 2 cultivation methods. This also caused Fong Yuan to only be able to cultivate soul path once in a while. Even though the efficiency was already out of this world, Shi Cheng was nearly shocked to death, but if he had pacifying soul soup, he could almost endlessly cultivate without stopping. Haste makes waste. Fong Yuan had to temporarily halt his soul cultivation. A commotion occurred in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Heavenly Court started to spread rumors that Fong Yuan was reaching rank 8 soon. He might be undergoing tribulation very soon. He was close to his rank 8 tribulation. Other than that, information that Fong Yuan captured the southern border Gu immortals had also been spread by Heavenly Court. Fong Yuan sneered, this must be the work of Fairy Zi Wei. In the previous life, Fairy Zi Wei did this too, but that was at a later time. In this life, Fang Yuan progressed rapidly and gave Fairy Zi Wei immense pressure. She used this method earlier than last time. In fact, this move was quite vicious. Fairy Zi Wei would be able to borrow the strength of every Gu immortal that feared Fang Yuan and did not want him to reach rank 8, they would pursue and deal with him. In the previous life, during the 5 regional mountain range battle, Fang Yuan used this to his advantage as he made use of these Gu immortals' intentions. If not for the sovereign immortal Aperture, I would fall into Fairy Zi Wei's trap and she would gain initiative in this matter. Now that she is spreading rumors like this, it means she has not discovered the true secret of the sovereign immortal body. Of course, it is possible that she knew but pretended not to, spreading out rumors like this as the start of her devious plan. Fang Yuan started to use wisdom path methods as he thought intensely. A moment later, a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He made a new decision. In this case, I will not wait around aimlessly. Let's expose your star cast killer move, as well as news of Chen Yi's and Thunder Ghost True Monarch's death. Fairy Zi Wei was trying to borrow strength, Fang Yuan was doing the same. Compared to Fang Yuan, Heavenly Court was a bigger source of wariness and fear among the 4 regions. In the previous life, Heavenly Court's Gu refinement was met with the attack of all 4 regions. Fang Yuan's spread of information had a lot to do with it. This time, I will reveal my battle strength. After all, I cannot conceal the matter in southern border anymore. Since the world will be shocked by it, let's go ahead and make them fear me even more. This way, it will help with my extortion of the southern border righteous path later. As expected, Fang Yuan and Heavenly Court exposed information about each other once more. It caused countless Gu immortals to gasp in shock. Information spread like wildfire. Soon, the entire Gu immortal world knew about it. The world was shocked. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1793, Little Demon Venerable. Chapter 1793, Little Demon Venerable. So all of Heavenly Court's rank 8 Gu immortals in Langya Blessed Land had died. Unbelievable. Thunder Ghost True Monarch is a legendary character. She had once fought against Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Meanwhile, Chen Yi is also the former First Supreme Elder of Heavenly Lotus Sect. He possesses Genesis Lotus True Inheritance. These 2 experts actually died at Fang Yuan's hands. This is simply unthinkable. Not just that, this demon Fang Yuan did not stop there, he even went to target Southern Border's Gu immortal world. Southern Border's Xianxia, Bos Sherba, and the other rank 7 experts were all captured. How does he have such battle strength? He is only rank 7. Against Heavenly Court, he used Langya Blessed Land's foundation. Against Southern Border, he used a time path superformation. There are too many suspicious points here. Even now, I still can't believe it. It should be true. Heavenly Court and Southern Border did not dispute him. Fang Yuan, this demon is getting increasingly scary. It has only been such a short time, yet he already killed and captured a bunch of rank 7 and rank 8 experts. Hahaha, Southern Border's righteous path has lost a lot of face this time. That's not entirely true. Even Heavenly Court failed against Fang Yuan after all. Fang Yuan is only a rank 7, how can his methods be so extraordinary? I finally understand now, a person like Fang Yuan does not conform to logic or common sense. He has the air of a demon venerable. Weren't all the past demon venerables like this when they were still young? Easily fighting above their rank and killing rank 8 experts with ease. That is true. It is a pity that only Great Dream Immortal Venerable exists in the future. There is no Demon Venerable. This is not Fang Yuan's era. You are wrong about that. Red Lotus Demon Venerable damaged Heavenly Court's Fate Gu. The future is not certain. Fang Yuan is already so vicious at rank 7, he has committed so many crimes. What will happen when he reaches rank 8? That's right, while he is still rank 7, we need to kill him. This is the final chance to exterminate him. Too difficult. Even Heavenly Court has not found his location. Fang Yuan is not only vicious, he is also cunning. He is an otherworldly demon who has reborn, he has too many methods. Ordinary experts are courting death if they approach him, even rank 8 Gu immortals need to be careful and not fall into his schemes. But if one can kill Fang Yuan, the gains are tremendous. That's true, Fang Yuan has many venerable true inheritances, he has countless resources, spring-autumn cicada, fixed immortal travel, and other immortal Gu, he even has multiple secluded domains of heaven and earth, he is basically a super force on his own. The Gu immortal world of the 5 regions went into chaos, Fang Yuan became the talk of all the Gu immortals wherever they went. Gu immortals felt hatred, fear, and jealousy towards him, they had complex emotions. If Fang Yuan had become renowned earlier from escaping Thunder Ghost True Monarch's assault and selling her rib bones in Treasure Yellow Heaven, then now, with the blood of rank 8 experts on his hands, and after capturing a large number of Gu immortal experts, Fang Yuan's name now shocked the world. He had used reverse flow protection seal in the past to fight against rank 8 Gu immortals, he was known as the number 1 rank 7 expert. But now, not just rank 6 and 7 Gu immortals, even most rank 8s were wary of Fang Yuan, they did not dare to look down on him. A new title regarding Fang Yuan gradually gained recognition among the Gu immortals, Little Demon Venerable. This title displayed the potential and disposition that Fang Yuan had towards becoming a demon venerable, he could be said to be a future demon venerable that was still growing. This was a high evaluation. In human history, through the eras, Gu immortal experts were countless like the shining stars in the sky, but how many venerables were there? Adding them all together, they amounted to 10. And now, the Gu immortal world recognized that Fang Yuan had hopes of becoming a venerable himself. Of course, other than the discussions involving Fang Yuan, Heavenly Court was also the target of their discussion. The things that Fang Yuan exposed, like Star Caste, made the Gu immortals in the 4 regions extremely shocked. Especially the righteous path super forces, they felt like they were on pins and needles. Star Caste had a huge significance in war, it allowed Central Continent and Heavenly Court to deploy Gu immortals and attack suddenly without needing time to travel. This gave Heavenly Court the complete initiative. Rank 8 Gu immortals of the 4 regions were usually leaders of their force, they could not band together in anticipation of Star Caste, right? In that case, Heavenly Court had a chance to use Star Caste to attack one rank 8 with multiple rank 8 battle strength existences. Within Heavenly Court, Fairy Zi Wei's expression was grim. Even though she had expected this, when it truly happened, she still felt quite gloomy. Fairy Zi Wei did not want to let Fang Yuan off, Fang Yuan was also not going to let Heavenly Court have an easy time. This was an open fight that dealt damage to both sides, they were both losers. But the person who suffered the biggest setback was probably Gu Yufangzheng. He had just advanced to rank 6, he had just gained the powers of a Gu immortal, his confidence had just risen when this nightmarish news appeared. Fang Yuan was actually able to defeat Heavenly Court, even Southern Border's righteous path forces were helpless against him. Fang Yuan only had rank 7 cultivation level but he defied logic, even rank 8 Gu immortals were not his match. After hearing this news for the first time, Fang Zheng had a lot of things to say but he ended up speechless. After a long while, he muttered to himself with a pale expression, was truly too naive. He smiled bitterly, Fang Yuan, the difference between us, is it really this big? This pitiful younger brother still had no idea that Fang Yuan was already a rank 8 expert. The truth was, the entire world was fooled by Fang Yuan. And it was not a surprise. Because even Fairy Zi Wei did not know of the sovereign immortal Aperture's true secret. If Fang Yuan wants to ascend to rank 8, he would need to undergo tribulation, regardless of success or failure, important clues would be left behind. If he was really rank 8 now, the speed of growth was just too fast. Other Gu immortals work hard and spend years cultivating like they were treading on thin ice, weren't they completely useless people if he actually succeeded? Fang Yuan looked at the discussions. To think that a day would come when I am a hotter topic than Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Even though the other Gu immortals were focusing on him more than on Heavenly Court, he did not feel disappointment. Because Fang Yuan knew that the super forces in the four regions were now discussing on how to deal with Heavenly Court. Long ago, predecessors had already foreseen the changes in the future, for example, Yao clan in southern border. Now that the earth veins moved and the Great Era was impending, most super forces already knew that the regional walls would vanish, and that the five regions' chaotic war would start in the future. Central Continent Refinement Path Convention, Heavenly Court, just you wait and see. Fang Yuan was paying attention to the discussions while noting the ink effect. He knew that by researching these changes, he would benefit greatly in his comprehension of fate, all living beings, and the world. Recalling my actions post-rebirth, directly annexing Langya Blessed Land was the best initial action I took. One step ahead and I will always be ahead. My advantages grew rapidly like a rolling snowball. This is the advantage of rebirth. Of course, I also have the advantage of being a complete otherworldly demon. And most importantly, all these are thanks to Red Lotus damaging Fate Gu. Compared to the previous life, he had much more gains this time, but disadvantageous ink effects were also taking place. Firstly, Southern Border's Rule Path Rank 8 expert Bos Sherba was captured by Fang Yuan and would get annexed soon. He did not end up well. This meant that when Wu Yong leads the Southern Alliance to fight Central Continent, they would lose one powerful ally. During the battle in the previous life, Bos Sherba was one of the main pillars on Fang Yuan's side who resisted Heavenly Court's Gu immortal Qingyi. Meanwhile, because Fang Yuan took away the 5 regional true inheritance and destroyed the 5 regional mountain range, the ambush battle would not occur there. Heavenly Court's member Jun Shenguang had been captured by Fang Yuan in the previous life during that battle, but now he was still free. Other than that, Heavenly Court had another rank 8 Gu immortal, that was Prince Feng Xian. Within Treasure Yellow Heaven, my dragonfish business is facing intense suppression. The profits are almost close to zero. In the previous life, even though this also happened, Fairy Zi Wei had been provoked by Fang Yuan in this life. The actions that Heavenly Court took were more than 10 times as forceful. Furthermore, the dragonfish business was also prematurely targeted at this time period. Thankfully, I annexed so many immortal apertures, I gained a large number of revenue sources. But in the previous life, Fairy Zi Wei worked with Southern Border's righteous path to target my businesses. I wonder if this will happen earlier this time. Will they intensify their actions like what happened to the dragonfish business? Fang Yuan thought about it. It was very likely. There was also another bad result that had occurred. It involved Longevity Heaven. In the previous life, Longevity Heaven annexed Langya Blessed Land. By giving them equal status, their reputation rose sharply, allowing Longevity Heaven to unite the entire Northern Plains Gu immortal world. Bing Sai Chuan and the rest managed to invade Heavenly Court. This time, not only did Langya Blessed Land get annexed by Fang Yuan, with Longevity Heaven getting nothing, Prince Feng Xian also returned to Heavenly Court. With such a huge traitor in Northern Plains' righteous path, not only did the Huang Jin bloodline members lose face, Longevity Heaven was also implicated. The outside world was in chaos, but Fang Yuan was not affected. He waited and developed at a corner, moving his location constantly. His enemies had no lead on him. His soul cultivation advanced rapidly, but he was still a distance away from using split soul. Fang Yuan's time path clone was focused on deductions, while his main body practiced killer moves. He was very familiar with Xia Cha's killer moves. All his accumulations in the previous life were brought over through rebirth. Fang Yuan was focusing on the contents of Tao Zhu's true inheritance. Immortal killer move, 5 restriction profound light qi. Gu worm spiraled, immortal essence was injected, a grand light qi burst out like a fountain. It was purple-black in color, the smoky appearance resembled light, making one think of Southern Border's miasma regional wall at first glance. This was the Southern Restriction purple-black miasma light qi. The other 4 were Central Restriction white gold saint light qi, Northern Restriction jade licorice light qi, Western Restriction red raging flame light qi, and Eastern Restriction blue water light qi. Fang Yuan had just started learning it, he could only unleash one type of light qi, he could not summon two light qi at once. As for the other 5 regional limit formation, because he lacked Earth Vein Immortal Gu, Fang Yuan could not use it now. According to his memories, Earth Vein Immortal Gu had not appeared at this point in time. And even if he had Earth Vein Immortal Gu, Fang Yuan also needed to modify the 5 regional limit formation, he needed to add in the formation spirit and formation flag Gu. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1794, Myriad Year Flying Warship. Chapter 1794 Myriad Year Flying Warship. Practicing killer moves was not easy, the Gu Immortal could suffer backlash and injuries with just slight carelessness. The more powerful the killer moves, the greater the risks. But it was necessary to practice as well, they could not just use killer moves blindly during a battle, right? In fact, the environment during a battle was worse as there would be strong retaliation from the enemy. There were many cases in history where Gu Immortals failed in activating their killer move and faced the backlash, suffering deep injuries and even dying. Among them, there were plenty of cases where they died while practicing killer moves. Fang Yuan was practicing 5 restriction profound light qi, which was a very powerful killer move, so he was extremely focused and careful. He had yet to choose between 5 restriction profound light qi and 5 regional limit formation. The two could not be used together, it was very difficult to set up a formation when on the verge of battle. And even if the 5 regional limit formation was set up, it was difficult to disassemble it. During a battle, having 5 regional limit formation meant 5 restriction profound light qi could not be used. From the point of flexibility, 5 restriction profound light qi was better. But formation path had its own advantages. Once 5 regional limit formation was set up, it was akin to having a prepared immortal killer move that could be used at any time. Fang Yuan would have huge initiative to go on the offensive. An example was the recent ambush by using the year's flow execution formation. Be it the previous life or this life, this battle was the achievement that Fang Yuan was the most pleased with. Not only because his gains were plentiful, the more important reason was that the whole battle was always in his control, he managed to steer the entire battle in the direction that he set. This was not easy to achieve normally. Any plan seemed perfect before it was put into practice. When it was truly implemented, even Heavenly Court and Longevity Heaven were unable to have control over the situation. The most important factor that helped Fang Yuan's ambush succeed was that time path immortal formation. As long as the formation was set, formation path Gu Immortals could often win against stronger foes. But formation path's flaw was that it was not mobile and had many inflexible areas. The absolute majority of the immortal formations could not be moved once set. A formation path Gu Immortal might have set up a powerful formation, but the enemy would detour around once they discover it. There were plenty of such embarrassing situations recorded in history. Thus, Qi Chuyu and Fairy Zi Wei were astonished that Fang Yuan's time path formation could be so hidden that it worked on the southern border immortals. There was another point as well, setting up an immortal formation was not easy and took a long time. 5 to 6 days would be the least, 2 to 3 months was normal, there were even those that took a couple of years. In the previous life, Heavenly Court had begun setting up the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation a year earlier. But after this formation was set up, the subformations could be created extremely quickly. This was the method left by star constellation Immortal Venerable, it could not be looked down upon. Even though it was extremely fast, creating subformations still required some time. In the previous life, Chen Yi's group had to come out and hold back Wu Yong's group so that the Gu Immortals behind could set up the subformations. Many super immortal formations were also not something that Gu Immortals could create casually. In the previous life's Great War, Wu Yong and others were assistants, Qi Chuyu, Fang Yuan, and Black Extremity were the ones in charge of setting up the formation. The long hair refinement path formation in Langya Blessed Land was also not set up by long hair ancestor, he had requested long ago for formation path great expert immortal Lady Jiu Hua to make it. Fang Yuan estimated that if he chose 5 regional limit formation, he would need at least half a year to set it up. Fortunately, he could use the difference in rate of time between his immortal aperture and the outside world to greatly mitigate this flaw. In his plan, the new 5 regional limit formation would merge the Earth Vein, Formation Flag and Formation Spirit. With these 3, Fang Yuan could first set up the formation inside Sovereign Grotto Heaven, then take it out when he needed it. However, Fang Yuan had yet to deduce this new 5 regional limit formation. In this period of time, Fang Yuan's time path clone was deducing an immortal Gu house again. Immortal Gu houses were also Gu formations, they were developed from formation path. Initially, many formation path Gu immortals felt the inconvenience and inflexibility of formations, they did not even have time to set up formations when there were sudden battles. In history, there were many cases where some formation path Gu immortals and even those great experts would suddenly run into a battle and be unable to display any of their strength. It would be considered fortunate if they only lost the battle. Many actually died in battle while having much grievances. The initial concept for immortal Gu houses was a portable immortal formation. Previously, the time path clone had been extremely busy managing the immortal aperture or being under the light of wisdom to deduce many things. And Fang Yuan's main body was busy in practicing killer moves and using the remaining time to cultivate his soul as well as managing his immortal aperture. The number of killer moves continued to increase, his soul foundation also soared with every cultivation session, his immortal aperture management was also smooth sailing. The main thing was he had an elite group of Gu immortal subordinates helping him. The year essence pool was important as it was the resting place of year beasts. It contained many advantages, it saved space as the year beasts lived here, it also produced time path Gu worms, and could even control the time flow of the immortal aperture. It was a micro-river of time. In the previous life, Fang Yuan had to bitterly gather the resources to form a year essence pool, but he found Xianxia also had a year essence pool after annexing her immortal aperture. In this life, he directly took the year essence pool which was already well constructed by Xianxia, but it was not good enough according to Fang Yuan's vision and plan. Over these days, Fang Yuan and his subordinate Gu immortals were focused on fine-tuning the structure of the year essence pool, which showed to be very effective. Fang Yuan put his immemorial year beasts inside and they were so pleased that they did not want to come out. As far as year beasts were concerned, there was food and water here, and they felt most comfortable soaking in water of the river of time. Most importantly, there were no enemies, they were all kin unlike in the true river of time. Year beasts and eagle groups had always been burdens of the sovereign immortal aperture. Now, the year beasts problem was solved and the aspect of eagle beasts made huge progress. To create a food chain for the eagle beasts, Fang Yuan first created many eagle nests, then he chose grass-weaving birds to be eagle beasts' food. This kind of bird was also called birds weaving grass. This bird was rather special. During spring, they were only seeds, once the seeds grew on the soil, they would gradually form a grassland. When summer came, the grass would weave with each other, forming the shapes of birds. These birds flew in groups, these were grass-weaving birds. In autumn, they migrated in groups. When winter came, they would fall to the ground, their figures would dissipate and turn back into seeds. The seeds would be buried under the snow, waiting to sprout in spring. This species of bird was easy to raise and they reproduced quite fast. Although the eagle beasts did not like to eat these birds, the food chain was just established, and they had nothing else for food, how could they be picky? Spring Gu and Summer Gu were already refined by Fang Yuan and could be used for this purpose. He stationed a Gu immortal in the mini 9 heavens to look after the place before activating the killer move. He had modified 2 killer moves. One was called Spring Sprout, which used rank 8 Immortal Gu Spring as the core and would sprout Immortal Gu as the supplementary. It sprouted the birds weaving grass planted in cloud soil and quickly dyed the large patch of cloud soil green. Another move was Summer Days. It used rank 8 Immortal Gu Summer as the core and some light path Immortal Gu as supplementary to form blazing sunlight. The grass weaving birds started flying, their amount increased rapidly to an extremely astonishing scale. The hungry eagle groups finally had something to fill their hunger. Fang Yuan also was free from the plight of having to purchase food from outside. But because planting birds weaving grass led to large expenditure of cloud soil, Fang Yuan now had to purchase cloud soil. Activating killer moves also expended rank 8 immortal essence. Calculating everything, Fang Yuan's expenditure was slightly larger than before when he was just feeding eagles. This was a problem which was always present when creating a food chain. At this period of time in his previous life, Fang Yuan had not made any plans regarding the eagles. In this life, he had many assets and did not care about this cost as he could totally afford it. This led to another problem. The two-time path killer moves changed the surrounding environment to spring at one moment and summer at the next moment. It was a great stimulation to the eagles, causing many of the female eagles to lay eggs in spring. And, because the switch between spring and summer was too sudden and frequent, without the adjustment and recuperation of autumn and winter, the eagles became increasingly violent and there were many bloody conflicts when eagles fought over their mating partners. During such moments, the Gu immortal whom Fang Yuan sent acted as a nanny. This simple food chain was just in the initial form, there would still be more parts added in the future to form a complete and stable food chain. This was not a complete disadvantage, at the very least, Fang Yuan gained many eagle eggs. Unlike year beasts which had the year essence pool that mimicked the environment of the river of time, eagle beasts were much more troublesome to arrange. A complete food chain involved all kinds of aspects where changing one aspect would alter the whole situation. Sometimes, even a tiny caterpillar might have a wide-ranging influence on the sovereign immortal aperture. Fang Yuan still needed to consider the future. Right now, the sovereign immortal aperture still had a vast empty space. Deducing matters related to this was more difficult than deducing a rank 6 immortal killer move. The amount of such deductions would become even more terrifying in future. Stable management of the immortal aperture, annexing blessed lands, and gradually absorbing grotto heavens had already filled so many places with resources that it surpassed most of the Gu immortals in the world. Fang Yuan's time path clone deduced without rest, finally gaining success. Immortal Gu House, Myriad Year Flying Warship. In the previous life, Fang Yuan had always wanted to build an immortal Gu house to explore the river of time as well as to let his subordinates join the battles of rank 8s. Unfortunately, he tried many times but did not achieve much success. His first incomplete immortal Gu house was destroyed by Li Huang. He then rebuilt it later. After extorting southern border's righteous path, he had all kinds of Gu worms and managed to build an immortal Gu house, but it was firmly disadvantaged in the battle in central continent and was not of much use. In this life, he learned his lesson and for now lowered the standard he had, conceptualizing a time path immortal Gu house. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1795, Gu as before formation. Chapter 1795 Gu as before formation. Heavenly Court. The project of constructing Eternal Yacht was already at its most crucial moment. Heavenly Court rank 8 rule path Gu immortal Song Yen took out an immortal Gu. This immortal Gu was like an extremely splendid and luxurious centipede that was the size of a forearm and was completely golden, with countless thin and small spikes on its back. It was rule path immortal Gu, permanence. This Gu was used in Heavenly Court's Eternal Sand Cave but was now taken out to construct Eternal Yacht. The final step. Song Yen took a deep breath as he solemnly and carefully sent permanence Gu into the incomplete Eternal Yacht immortal Gu house. The incomplete immortal Gu house absorbed the Gu, its aura began to be unsteady, rising and falling before rapidly falling out of control. Song Yan's expression changed greatly. Oh no. Bam. A thunderous explosion occurred, the incomplete immortal Gu house shattered. Countless mortal Gu died and many supplementary immortal Gu were damaged. Only permanence Gu suffered no damage, it was protected firmly by Song Yan even at the cost of suffering heavy injuries. Permanence Gu was the core, it could not be harmed, unlike other supplementary immortal Gu which could be replaced even if destroyed. At the same time, Fairy Zi Wei left Heavenly Court and descended to Central Continent, arriving at Duke Long's location. I have succeeded in learning Shatter Dream. Feng Jin Huang raised her arms, exclaiming in joy. Fairy Zi Wei had not thought she would personally witness this important growth of Feng Jin Huang. She was inwardly shocked as she looked at the broken dream realm fragments that were like broken mirror fragments. Feng Jin Huang's progress in Dream Path was far beyond her expectations. Duke Long sent away Feng Jin Huang, who was jumping with joy, and asked Fairy Zi Wei about her purpose for visiting. Fairy Zi Wei said truthfully, "Lord, these last days, I have been feeling uneasy but cannot find the reason, so I came to ask for your guidance." Duke Long nodded. "Is there any progress in deducing Fang Yuan?" Fairy Zi Wei's brows furrowed and revealed a vexed expression. "Fang Yuan's defense in Wisdom Path is airtight. I have used all my strength but cannot deduce anything about him." Duke Long comforted. "Your previous plans against him were already good, even I cannot plan a strategy like that. After all, I am not a Wisdom Path Gu immortal." "Have you destroyed Fixed Space Immortal Gu?" "The Refinement Path Killer move on those Gu worms have yet to activate. But I have already ordered Yuan Xiongdu to be ready at all times." Duke Long nodded. "Looks like it is not easy for Fang Yuan to plunder the Gu worms from the Gu immortal captives." Thinking for a bit, he asked, "Have you looked into Spectral Soul?" Fairy Zi Wei's reply was direct. "He is only a remnant soul and a prisoner with no immortal essence or immortal Gu. After the defeat in Langya Blessed Land, I have paid extra attention to him. There is no issue with him." Duke Long sighed. "Maybe it is him." "Who?" "Red Lotus Demon Venerable." Fairy Zi Wei's heart shook. She heard Duke Long continue, "How is the progress with finding Red Lotus true inheritances?" Fairy Zi Wei's expression turned unsightly. "Present and past pavilion has been in the river of time all along. As long as Fang Yuan enters, we will definitely know. But earlier, Eternal Yacht's construction failed. We need to redo it again. I still plan to construct 3 Autumn Yellow Crane Platform, Shark Flow Lever, and Moment Stage. With these 5 Time Path Immortal Gu houses, even if we cannot find Red Lotus true inheritances, we also won't let Fang Yuan get to them." Duke Long replied, "The first 4 are okay, but the core Immortal Gu of the 5th Moment Stage is the Immortal Gu in Million Heavenly King Gallery. Fairy Zi Wei, this is the most stable plan among the ones I deduced." Duke Long attached high importance to Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan would never compare to Red Lotus Demon Venerable. He said deeply, "Red Lotus true inheritances are the greatest variable. Blockading the river of time with 5 Time Path Immortal Gu houses is indeed a safe method. We shall go with your plan then. Although I don't cultivate Formation Path, I know the difficulty in constructing an Immortal Gu house. Don't put blame on Song Yen." "Yes, Lord Duke Long." Because of the defeat in Langya Blessed Land, Heavenly Court was even more aggressive this time, and they were moving with a tight pace. Guyu Fangzheng's immortal ascension was only one aspect. Eternal Yacht was also being constructed, and they had also added the 5th Time Path Immortal Gu house. This ink effect was unknown to Fang Yuan. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. This is the most crucial part. Years flow like water. Immortal Gu, go. Fang Yuan willed it, and an Immortal Gu shot towards the front. When it entered the incomplete Immortal Gu house, there was a dazzling radiance. The radiance was absorbed and emitted, flickering between bright and dark. Fang Yuan was controlling the whole situation with all his concentration. Countless thoughts welled up in his mind like surging waves in the sea. His accumulated will was melting like snow. His main body was soaked in sweat in just a short while. The Time Path clone was also brought here to help out. He was forcibly enduring the stress. His face was pale as paper and his body was on the verge of collapsing. All these painstaking efforts were not in vain. The multicolored radiance gradually merged, forming a clear and bright blue light. The light was no longer flickering between bright and dark, it gradually stabilized. Finally, when the blue light completely retracted and vanished, an Immortal Gu house revealed itself. Rank 8 Immortal Gu house, Myriad Year Flying Warship. Its core was Years Flow Like Water Immortal Gu, which elevated this Immortal Gu house to rank 8. Fang Yuan's first creation was directly a rank 8 Immortal Gu house. Years Flow Like Water's main use was to produce Year Gu. The countless Year Gu it produced were used to feed Fang Yuan's Year beasts. But now, there was a complete and stable food chain because of the year essence pool. Fang Yuan let the year beasts be self-sufficient inside here and could now use year's flow like water immortal Gu for other purposes. This rank 8 immortal Gu was created by He Fan. It specialized in logistics and was an outstanding immortal Gu in the aspect of immortal aperture development, but it lacked offensive power. Fang Yuan fulfilled He Fan's wish by using it to form a rank 8 immortal Gu house. Besides year's flow like water immortal Gu, myriad year flying warship's main supplementary immortal Gu were 2 rank 7 immortal Gu, precaution and fight. The former had been used by Fang Yuan in divination tortoise transformation along with Vajra thought immortal Gu, but this level of transformation killer move was no longer suitable for Fang Yuan currently, so he used it to increase the defensive power of myriad year flying warship. The latter was rule path immortal Gu fight, but it was never used properly because Fang Yuan did not have high attainment level in rule path previously as well as having few rule path Dao marks. It was only recently that his rule path attainment level had increased steeply. Rule path was the path with the widest range of use, these 2 immortal Gu perfectly coordinated with year's flow like water. Myriad year flying warship had a narrow structure like a small boat and shined with a dazzling silver light. It gave a strong feeling of sharpness and toughness. Heavenly Court had failed in constructing Eternal Yacht, but Fang Yuan had succeeded in his. It was not only because of Fang Yuan's time path quasi-supreme grandmaster attainment level, but also because of his rule path great grandmaster and formation path grandmaster attainment levels. Fang Yuan had put in his energy to cultivate many paths since long ago, and after the initial problems in the start, the benefits were already showing and these benefits would keep on increasing in the future. This is the first immortal Gu house that I created. It is a completely new creation and will definitely give a huge surprise to my enemies in future battles. Fang Yuan was joyous. In the previous life, he had intended to build an immortal Gu house but did not truly succeed. The ones which he built were incomplete and their power was barely passable. In this life, he constructed myriad year flying warship and was satisfied with himself. But this was not the end, this was only the first immortal Gu house. Fang Yuan had an enormous plan. He had estimated that he would build at least 3 immortal Gu houses. In his deductions, this plan would make the most use of all the resources he obtains in this life. Myriad year flying warship was set aside. The time path clone had almost fainted while constructing this warship. He was in poor condition now. Fang Yuan could only arrange him to rest and not deduce anything for the moment. Fang Yuan's main body was also able to rest for 2 days. 2 days in the outside world was multiple months inside the sovereign immortal aperture. The time path clone had already recovered and had made another gain in his deductions. Immortal Gu formation, Gu as before formation. After spending some energy, Fang Yuan finally succeeded in constructing this formation. Fang Yuan decided to make a move on Lu Hao now. Lu Hao's immortal aperture was still inside his physical body, but Fang Yuan had already extracted his soul and imprisoned it in another place. Fang Yuan took out fixed space immortal Gu from Lu Hao's immortal aperture. Almost in the same instance, fixed space Gu showed signs of detonating, but Gu as before formation was already activated and had started affecting the destruction of fixed space Gu. Fixed space Gu flickered with lights as the refinement path Dao marks on it were destroyed. After a while, fixed space Gu went back to a stable condition albeit with slight injuries. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air as he held this Gu. He finally obtained this Gu. In his previous life, Heavenly Court's hidden methods were activated, destroying not only fixed space Gu but also the other Gu worms inside Lu Hao. But Fang Yuan had made some gains as well. From the fragments of fixed space Gu, he had obtained the hope of conceptualizing the immortal Gu as before. In his previous life, he had done deep research into these fragments and had never stopped deducing about this matter. With such accumulations, his deductions finally had an initial success in this life and he was able to create the Gu as before formation. This formation involved millions of Gu worm. There were more than 20 immortal Gu involved in it from refinement path, time path, and rule path. What Fang Yuan envisioned was Gu as before immortal Gu, so this Gu as before formation was only an initial success. After he modifies and simplifies this large formation into a practical killer move, it will be mid-stage success. And later, when he condenses this killer move into an immortal Gu recipe and refines Gu as before immortal Gu, he would then achieve complete success. But currently, Gu as before formation is already my limit. I need to increase my foundation to improve it. I have absorbed the long hair true meaning, my refinement path attainment has reached quasi-supreme grandmaster. But in the history of refinement path, there are still two other monumental figures equal to long hair ancestor, old eccentric Tian Nan and old immortal Kong Ju. Most of these two's inheritances have definitely been pocketed by Heavenly Court. The refinement path methods Heavenly Court put on fixed space Gu might have come from these two experts. As long as I obtain these contents and increase my foundation, I may not be able to create an immortal Gu recipe, but I will definitely be able to simplify this formation into a killer move and obtain mid-stage success. Fang Yuan's eyes seemed to burn with the flames of passion. In his previous life, he could not see such hopes and felt Heavenly Court was a deep chasm that was beyond him. But in this life, he did not think so. Heavenly Court, I will invade Heavenly Court and plunder these true inheritances. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1796, Pure Dream Clone. Chapter 1796 Pure Dream Clone. Fang Yuan observed his soul. After several cultivation sessions over this period of time, his soul had already recovered to 60 million man soul. His soul was no longer gloomy and weak like before, it was filled with energy and was lifelike. Its face was exquisite and the body size was normal, there was a light from deep within it that covered it completely and would make people feel it was solid and pure. Thieving Heaven True Inheritance, Rank 9 Killer Move Ghostly Concealment, it was like a silk inner garment sticking to his soul, above it was a layer of Ghost Official Garment. Ghost Official Garment used Rank 7 Change Soul Immortal Gu and Rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal Gu as its cores. At this moment, it had already turned into a martial uniform, there was even battle armor covering his shirt, it was a grand sight. With his current soul foundation, Fang Yuan had the confidence to split his soul. Immortal Killer Move, Split Soul. Instantly, Fang Yuan's soul left his physical body, only relying on the remaining thoughts, wills, or emotions to manipulate Gu worms and maintain split soul killer move. As natural as drinking water, half the soul of the main body split and the main body's soul once again returned to its body. In an instant, Fang Yuan's main body's soul fell to 30 million man soul. The split soul was also at 30 million man soul. Fang Yuan closed his eyes and rested for a while. When the soul returned to his body, he felt slight dizziness. This was a normal reaction because he had split half of his soul, which was a huge amount. Immortal essence stopped moving inside his immortal aperture as all kinds of Gu worms rested with none injured. This split soul was a success, it was actually not easy to activate this move, there was a huge risk and a high failure rate. But Fang Yuan had diligently practiced this move before, spending a lot of energy and paying quite a price for it. All of his efforts made this attempt a success. Fang Yuan opened his eyes, he had fully recovered and his mind was clear. He opened his immortal aperture's entrance a little, his split soul immediately moved along with the wind and went through. There was already a physical body waiting for the split soul inside the sovereign immortal aperture. This physical body was none other than the pure dream reality seeker physique body created from a dream realm. After the split soul entered the pure dream reality seeker physique body, there was some fluctuation in the aura at first before it turned silent like a corpse. Fang Yuan was calm. He had more or less grasped three types of pure dream reality seeker physique bodies. The first type was the strongest pure dream reality seeker physique body, the one that was condensed by old man Yan Shi and also the Ying Wuxia of back then. This pure dream reality seeker physique body only had 18 hours of lifespan, its cultivation would increase by a rank every 2 hours and its strength would continue to grow, becoming extremely terrifying near the end of its lifespan. However, this pure dream reality seeker physique body required many immortal Gu as well as a vast amount of dream realms. Fong Yuan could not fulfill the requirements. The second type was the pure dream reality seeker physique body with Gu immortal cultivation. Fong Yuan had used it many times and had once used them to stall the pursuit of southern border Gu immortals. He also used it to secretly trade dream realms with Qi Chuyu. This pure dream reality seeker physique body had one huge flaw: it had a time limit. Once the limit was reached, they would self-detonate back into a dream realm. The third type was the one Fong Yuan learned from Feng Jin Huang's pure dream reality seeker physique body. This was a perfect pure dream reality seeker physique body. It consumed few dream realms and did not use many immortal Gu, in which they could also be replaced with other immortal Gu, but it was only a mortal body and did not have Gu immortal cultivation. The body which the split soul had merged into was the third type of pure dream reality seeker physique body. It possessed an aperture and was only at rank 1. After a while, the pure dream reality seeker physique body opened its eyes. The 30 million man soul was restrained and was starting to adapt to this body. This body was unable to hold the complete 30 million man soul with its low cultivation. This was the classic case of a weak body but a powerful soul. With Fong Yuan's split soul restraining most of its power, it was like a giant had curled up its body and was lying carefully inside a paper house. But it did not matter. Fong Yuan had already prepared Relic Gu. Relic Gu was a sphere-shaped mortal Gu that was thumb-sized and had an ordinary appearance. But its effect was major: it could enhance the aperture walls and advance the Gu Master's cultivation by a small realm. Gu Master cultivation had 5 ranks from rank 1 to rank 5, Relic Gu also was divided into rank 1 to rank 5. Rank 1 Green Copper Relic Gu, rank 2 Red Steel Relic Gu, rank 3 White Silver Relic Gu, rank 4 Yellow Gold Relic Gu, and rank 5 Purple Crystal Relic Gu. No matter which rank the Relic Gu was, it was a treasure of that rank. Its price far surpassed other similarly ranked Gu worms. For instance, Red Steel Relic Gu was priced at 8,000 primeval stones in the mortal world. This value surpassed ordinary rank 3 Gu worms. White Silver Relic Gu was a treasured rank 3 Gu, its value reaching 50,000. There would be at best White Silver Relic Gu circulated in mortal markets. The market for Yellow Gold Relic Gu was controlled and they were extremely rare, often held in the hands of the higher-ups. This situation was much better in Treasure Yellow Heaven. After all, Treasure Yellow Heaven was the transaction area of Gu Immortals and was the largest market in the world. In Treasure Yellow Heaven, rank 1 to 3 Relic Gu were sold in batches. There were few rank 4 Yellow Gold Relic Gu, and even fewer rank 5 Purple Crystal Relic Gu. This was not because Gu Immortals were holding these Gu worms in their hands and did not want them to circulate, it was because Relic Gu could only be formed naturally and were currently unable to be created by Gu Immortals. Even Langya Blessed Land and Heavenly Court were unable to do so. Why? With Refinement Path Quasi-Supreme Grandmaster and Human Path Master attainment levels, Fong Yuan understood the reason now. It was because Relic Gu were Human Path Gu worms. It had a fundamental effect towards variant humans and humans. Much more Relic Gu would form in the areas with many variant humans or humans. Fong Yuan's pure dream clone began to use Green Copper Relic Gu. His aperture was different from normal Gu Masters. An ordinary aperture was stable, but the pure dream clone's aperture was constantly forming and breaking like a dream. This was the characteristic of dream realms. In the previous life, Feng Jin Huang had also exclaimed that the main reason for her being able to create the perfect pure dream reality seeker physique was due to coincidence as well as her creating the killer move Shatter Dream beforehand. Regardless of the pure dream clone's aperture shattering and forming, it had a membrane of light around it that looked extremely thin but firmly kept the dream path aperture inside it. This membrane was the aperture wall of rank 1 initial stage. After 1 Green Copper Relic Gu was used, the light membrane thickened immediately and the light started to circulate like water, becoming water membrane. Pure Dream Clone used another Green Copper Relic Gu. The water membrane became even thicker and firm, transforming into stone membrane. After using the third Green Copper Relic Gu, Pure Dream Clone's aperture stone membrane turned into crystal membrane. The Pure Dream Reality Seeker physique was a special aptitude. its green copper primeval essence might be illusory like a dream, but it filled more than 90% of the aperture. Fang Yuan's pure dream clone immediately sat cross-legged as it controlled its primeval essence to attack the crystal membrane. However, before it even made a move, its aperture advanced directly, the crystal membrane shattered, turning into red steel rank 2 light membrane. The pure dream clone had become a rank 2 Gu master within moments. Fang Yuan exclaimed lightly before realizing, pure dream reality seeker physique is the 11th extreme physique, on the same level as the 10 extreme physiques. Its cultivation can rise continuously without any obstacles. In a Gu master's cultivation, it was easy to advance through small realms, they only needed enough time and patience. However, every large realm had a barrier, and the higher you go, the harder it is to cross. Fang Yuan had thought of using his plentiful experiences to advance, but he had not expected the pure dream reality seeker physique body to break through naturally. This was much more convenient than his original expectations. Relic Gu were consumed one after the other, and Fang Yuan's pure dream clone's cultivation kept on rising and breaking through to the next level. Although there were few purple crystal relic Gu in Treasure Yellow Heaven, there were a lot in Langya's treasury. They were not an issue. Thus, in just a mere hour, Fang Yuan's pure dream clone had rank 5 peak stage cultivation level. Prepare for immortal ascension. Fang Yuan sent the pure dream clone out of the sovereign immortal aperture. It could not undergo its tribulation inside the sovereign immortal aperture, because this would cause a huge disorder in heaven and earth qi and greatly disturb the immortal aperture's balance. Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture itself had a huge demand for heaven and earth qi. Were the pure dream clone to undergo its tribulation inside, there would be a huge deficiency in heaven and earth qi. So Fang Yuan's plan was for the pure dream clone to undergo tribulation outside. Fang Yuan intended to create a perfect pure dream clone with Gu immortal cultivation at one go. But just as he was about to implement the next step, he suddenly felt an intense sense of danger. Ha! Wait a moment. Fang Yuan's gaze focused. He had a deep wisdom path attainment. This strong sense of danger that came out of nowhere was not without reason, it was a certain premonition. Fang Yuan could not ignore this feeling. This seems to be a hint that if I were to let the pure dream clone undergo tribulation, it will encounter an immense danger. Fang Yuan frowned. Gu masters needed to undergo tribulation to advance to Gu immortal. According to common logic, no matter how much heavens will strengthen such calamities and tribulations, there would be a limit. No matter how strong a rank 6 calamities and tribulations were, it would not surpass rank 7 calamities and tribulations. But, if they are the calamities and tribulations of dream path. Fang Yuan's gaze turned deep. The pure dream reality seeker physique body's immortal ascension would likely encounter dream path's calamities and tribulations, but Fang Yuan did not know much regarding this. Under the present situation, even an expert as strong as Duke Long was without options against dream path methods. Fang Yuan was much stronger than Duke Long in this because he had Unravel Dream. However, Unravel Dream was not omnipotent. Moreover, dream realms were primarily divided into two kinds. One was realistic dream realms. What Fang Yuan explored the most were this kind of dream realms. Another were abstract dream realms where anything could happen that could not be explained with logic. Even Fang Yuan did not want to encounter them. If I were to let my pure dream clone undergo immortal ascension, it would give heavens will the opportunity to attack me. If so, I should let it undergo immortal ascension inside the sovereign immortal aperture. There is no heavens will inside the sovereign immortal aperture. Although it will extract a large amount of heaven and earth qi and damage my foundation, there are more benefits to having a Gu immortal level pure dream clone. However, when Fang Yuan took back the pure dream clone and wanted to let it undergo tribulation, that sense of danger still lingered although it had lessened slightly. Fang Yuan pondered, does this mean that even without heaven's will, there will still be dream path calamities and tribulations when the pure dream reality seeker physique body undergoes immortal ascension? Moreover, it will be a great threat to me. Immortal ascension signified taking risks. Was this risk worth it or not? Fang Yuan hesitated for a while before sighing. He chose stability. This risk was not worth it at this moment. The crucial thing was he did not have even a little assurance. If it were other paths, it would be okay, but dream path. Fang Yuan shook his head. He actually had a great anticipation for this. Because once the immortal ascension succeeds, Fang Yuan would not only obtain an immortal level pure dream clone, there would also be the opportunity for natural inspiration that could allow him to better understand dream path and have an opportunity to advance dream path mortal Gu to immortal Gu. But Fang Yuan regretfully discovered that the immortal ascension held way too much danger. If it goes bad, I might not even be able to use spring-autumn cicada. Fang Yuan was progressing very well in this life, it was not worth it to take such a risk. Blindly taking risk was not courageous but stupid. Forget it, I shall let it be for the moment. Fang Yuan snorted. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1797, Extorting Rank 9 Immortal Material. Chapter 1797 Extorting Rank 9 Immortal Material. Splash splash splash. Sounds of sea waves and clear cries of sea birds entered Fang Yuan's ears. The eastern sea area in front of him glittered with warm sunlight. Gentle and refreshing sea wind brushed across his face. Fang Yuan, however, was slightly dejected. As expected, it is not time yet. He used Jade Flow Pearl to arrive in Eastern Sea from southern border. His target was to find the blue dragon whale. To Fang Yuan, gaining regret Gu would be a splendid matter. Because he wanted to raise the ranks of his numerous rank 6 immortal Gu to increase his own overall strength. With regret Gu, he could decrease his losses and reduce the risk of refining Gu to the lowest degree. In fact, ever since his rebirth, he had come here several times. This sea area was the area where he had followed Miao Mingshen's group and seen the blue dragon whale in his previous life. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan was not successful in finding the blue dragon whale. Should I attack Miao Mingshen and seize his method? With that method, I can find the exact location of the blue dragon whale by myself. This thought flashed past Fang Yuan's mind and he quickly evaluated the risks. If he made a move, Miao Mingshen would not be a problem. Fang Yuan could even use Chu Ying's identity to scheme against Miao Mingshen using wisdom path methods. The true uncertainty was Fang Yuan did not know what that method was. It was okay if it was some ordinary immortal killer move. But if it were some bizarre method and he made a rash move, it would simply backfire on him. According to Fang Yuan's deduction, the possibility of the latter was not small. Because in the 500 years of his previous life, he had not heard of anyone seizing this method from Miao Mingshen. Eastern Sea had rank 8 Gu immortals while Miao Mingshen was only rank 7 and his method concerned a Paradise Earth true inheritance. There was no way those rank 8 Gu immortals were not moved. But these Gu immortals seemed to have no desire to make a move, clearly showing that the situation was not as simple as it looked. According to my previous life, I just need to wait patiently and follow Miao Mingshen into the inheritance ground. But this has a flaw, that is the ink effect. In my previous life, Miao Mingshen selected Chu Ying after some hesitation. Will he still choose Chu Ying in this life? Fang Yuan used Jade Flow Pearl to return to southern border. Currently, southern border was the safest among the 5 regions. Even if southern border's righteous path moved against him, he had a large number of captives as his bargaining chip. He also had the most thorough understanding of southern border situations. Fang Yuan was not in a hurry to make a move against Miao Mingshen. His carefully thought-out plans since rebirth were progressing smoothly, and even if he wanted to attack Miao Mingshen, it would be too rushed to do so at this time. Everything should be done methodically and when the timing is correct. Sometimes, one needed to speed up, sometimes, one needed to slow down. By acting too quickly and intensely, the end product might end up charred. But if one acted too slowly, they would lose their chance as a result of inaction. Fang Yuan already had a firm grasp over the appropriate speed he should use. His main task now was still his clone. He needed to make a Dragonman clone. Fang Yuan had already obtained by Ning Bing's Dragonman transformation method, and had already begun researching it. This method was called the Humans Alike Dragon's Gu Refinement Method. it used the Gu immortal themselves as a Gu material and refined together with raging wave rising dragon fire, their race would change and turn into a dragon man. This method's success rate was very minute. During the Gu refinement process, all of the Dao marks of the Gu immortal would be affected. When Fang Yuan had first read this method, he had exclaimed at its incredible concept. He then discovered the flaw of this method. This method was created by Duke Long, who was proficient in Qi path and transformation path. He did not have a deep attainment in refinement path and had mostly relied on Qi path and transformation path to imitate refinement path. But Fang Yuan was a refinement path quasi-supreme grandmaster. He could give a huge improvement to this method in the refinement path aspect. After improving it, the success rate would also greatly increase and might even reach 10%. That was a 1 in 10 success rate. This was already Fang Yuan's limit, he could not improve it any further. Because the humans alike Dragon's Gu refinement method was essentially a human path killer move and also involved the profundities of transformation path. Fang Yuan's transformation path could not match Duke Long's. It was even more so for his human path attainment. Thus, the humans alike Dragon's Gu refinement method was also a supreme material that could allow Fang Yuan to comprehend some essence of human path. The real obstacle is still Raging Wave Rising Dragon Fire. Raging Wave Rising Dragon Fire was an extremely rare rank 9 immortal material. It was the human flame among the 3 flames of heaven, earth, and human. Bai Xiang Grotto Heaven had 1 lump, but it was already used by Bai Ningbing. Treasure Yellow Heaven did not have it. Announced the offer to buy it in Treasure Yellow Heaven. No, Fang Yuan had a better option. Xia clan headquarters. The hall was filled with a heavy and stifling atmosphere. Fang Yuan's ransom letter was still sent to Xia clan first. This scoundrel Fang Yuan is a heinous criminal, he should be damned to death. We have to kill him. Xia Fei Kuai shouted with a fierce expression. The other Xia clan Gu immortals looked ashen and had unsightly expressions. Besides fury and hatred, these righteous path Gu immortals also had a feeling like they were currently dreaming and nothing was real. The Grand Xia clan, a super force, was actually being blackmailed by one demonic path Gu immortal. And the cause of this ransom was actually the kidnapping of Xia clan's strongest expert, Xia clan's foundation, Xia clan's supreme figure of authority, first supreme elder Xianxia. If someone had told Xia clan's Gu immortals this would happen before the ambush attack, Xia clan's Gu immortals would definitely give that person a few hard slaps and even shout at them to wake up. But at this moment, Xia clan's Gu immortals had the urge to slap themselves. How did the situation fall to this state? Xia clan's second supreme elder Xia Zhao was the person who felt the greatest pressure. He sighed and said, "You have all seen that mortal letter Gu, Fang Yuan is demanding Raging Wave Rising Dragon Fire. What are your thoughts on this?" Xia clan immortals looked at each other, silent. Xia Zhao could only point out a name as he looked towards Xia Fei Kuai. "Come, didn't you shout quite loudly just before? Speak your thoughts." Xia Fei Kuai had an irascible temper and felt extreme anger towards Fang Yuan, but he remained silent for a good while before speaking. Even Heavenly Court Gu immortals were unable to get rid of this demon Fang Yuan. He might just be rank 7, but he is truly diabolical. If he really wanted Lady Xiacha's life, he would definitely not have any misgivings. Maybe we can ally with other clans. Fang Yuan is blackmailing us, he will definitely blackmail the other clans as well. Xia Lu Pei immediately retorted, "The one we lost is our first supreme elder, how could those outsiders be relied on? Right now, they are eager for us to lose Lady Xiacha. Since Fang Yuan will definitely blackmail other forces, did you see any of them contacting us?" "You." Xia Fei Kuai glared, but could not find any words to retort. After a good while, he said, "Even if we want to compromise, we don't have Raging Wave Rising Dragon Fire. Just because we do not have it does not mean others don't. That demon Fang Yuan might only be putting a high price first and is waiting for us to negotiate." Xia clan's Gu immortal continued to speak their thoughts. Same as the previous life, Xia clan's most important person had landed in Fang Yuan's hand. The Xia clan Gu immortals could only admit defeat and be blackmailed by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's reply was direct, "Don't mention other things to me, I want raging wave rising dragon fire. I don't care how you get it, but we can only discuss after you bring it over. Or else, Xiaxia's life. Hee hee." Fang Yuan was even more calm than in the previous life. In the previous life, he had to make several probes while blackmailing Southern Border's righteous path. In this life, he was familiar with every clan's limits. Xia clan was going to be blackmailed hard by him. Although Xia clan and Ba clan both lost rank 8 Gu immortals as captives, Xia clan's situation was still the worst. Because Ba clan still had another rank 8 candidate, Ba Da. So Fang Yuan's first target of blackmail was still Xia clan. Xia clan did not have raging wave rising dragon fire, which was within Fang Yuan's expectations because he had already searched Xiaxia's soul and did not see raging wave rising dragon fire in the treasury. The other rank 7 Xia clan Gu immortals might not know about all the things in the treasury, but Xiaxia definitely knew the details as the first supreme elder. Actually, Fang Yuan truly did not know which force of Southern Border had raging wave rising dragon fire. It was possible for a clan to have stored it, but the rank 9 immortal material might be hidden so deep in the treasury that only the first supreme elder could know of it. There was also the possibility this fire was not with any Southern Border righteous path force. Fang Yuan did not care about this, he was going to make Southern Border's righteous path take care of this headache. In Fang Yuan's plan, the Dragonman clone was one of the important parts. Because this clone would involve the acquisition of Dragon Palace. Fang Yuan did not actually have clear information regarding Dragon Palace, but he was able to deduce that the Dragonman clone would be the crucial key to inherit Dragon Palace. In the previous life, Bai Ningbing being able to become the owner of Dragon Palace was the best evidence. Fang Yuan extorted the Southern Border righteous path while continuing to cultivate and absorbing his gains. Not long later, he successfully improved Time Cutting Edge. The new Time Cutting Edge was 30% more powerful than in previous life. This was because Fang Yuan had a lot more Time Path Immortal Gu than in his previous life. Not only was it because he had gained Langyip Blessed Land, but also because the Year's Flow execution formation was not seriously damaged like in previous life during the Southern Border Immortals attack, so many Time Path Immortal Gu were preserved. There was another point, Fang Yuan had even calculated some Time Path Immortal Gu of Southern Border Righteous Path's treasuries in his plan. First was Xia clan, then Ba clan and Yi clan. Yi clan's Gu Immortal Yi Yang was blood related to Yi clan's first Supreme Elder, and was a successor of the clan nurtured by the first Supreme Elder. He was very important to the clan. Fourth was Qi clan. Fang Yuan's attitude towards Qi clan was quite amiable. "Brother Qi Chu Yu, we are really good friends. I was able to capture Southern Border Immortals because of you. I will directly return your second Supreme Elder to you." Qi Chu Yu's face was pitch black like the bottom of a pot. "Don't act so close to me." Qi Chu Yu felt an intense disgust inwardly. He discovered that he was dragged in so deep by Fang Yuan that he could not get out. These past few days, his mood had been extremely heavy. Because he knew Fang Yuan was able to capture the Southern Border Immortals mainly because of Dream Realms. And he was the one who had secretly handed these Dream Realms to Fang Yuan. Were the Southern Border Righteous Path to know of this huge secret, not only Qi Chu Yu, even Qi clan would be in imminent danger. The Dream Realm trading had become a threat to Qi Chu Yu. He really wanted to stop these dangerous transactions, but was it possible anymore? The person he was facing was Fang Yuan. Qi Chu Yu's heart went cold at this thought. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1798, Inspiration of Destiny. Chapter 1798, Inspiration of Destiny. Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Southern Border. Rumble. A loud sound was heard. The ground shook for a moment before the dense radiance of an Earth Path Killer move covered the surrounding 100 li. Like a large formless hand molding soft mud, the surrounding terrain began to sink in while the land in the periphery began to rise, forming a circular valley. This sunken land was surrounded by mountains, forming an environment that was isolated from the outside. There was no vegetation in this sunken land, soil was also scarce, it was instead covered by a large amount of steel materials. This is White Steel Bowl Valley. Rockman Gu Immortal Cheng watched this scene from outside the valley with shock. Fong Yuan had countless powerful methods, casually creating another mid-scale resource point without exerting much effort. Over these days, Cheng had conversed with other Gu immortals and gained a deeper understanding of how vast the sovereign immortal aperture was and the large amount of resources distributed all over it. Such a deep foundation was astonishing and increased the confidence of these Gu immortals regarding their future. However, what made Cheng even more amazed was Fong Yuan's courage. Other Gu immortals would not have dared, but Fong Yuan fought against stronger enemies, targeting Southern Border's righteous path. The important thing was he not only attacked them but also was victorious and captured these Southern Border Gu immortals. If not for these captives, how could Fong Yuan have extorted these resources to easily create White Steel Bowl Valley? Compared to Fong Yuan, the Rockman tribe's Gu immortals looked excessively conservative. Lord Fong Yuan is the one we should follow. Cheng was becoming increasingly inclined towards Fong Yuan. He was completely captivated by Fong Yuan's charisma and subdued by his disposition. Over these days, with He Lu Lan and the others' continuous work, every resource was arranged properly. The sovereign immortal aperture had been barren, but annexing blessed lands and grotto heavens had gathered a large amount of resources in it. And now, these resources were distributed ingeniously and harmoniously to form a balanced ecology. There was no chaos or mutual disturbance, the resources aided one another in their growth. This was the result of Fong Yuan's meticulous deductions using Wisdom Path. The next step was to fill up some gaps. For instance, White Steel Bowl Valley was something Tai Chu Zhong wanted to construct but had not started yet. With it, Tai Chu Zhong could feed Edge Gu by himself and would not have to rely on external sources. Fong Yuan had already filled the gaps here. In the previous life, he had completed this project, and it was even easier in this life. As for the necessary resources, Fong Yuan extorted them from Southern Border's righteous path. Fong Yuan clearly felt it was much easier to extort the Southern Border righteous path in this life than in the previous life. It was because the resistance of Southern Border's Gu Immortals' resistance had become much weaker. The video Fong Yuan revealed in Heavenly Court showed him killing Chen Yi and Thunder Ghost True Monarch. This greatly stirred up the Southern Border righteous path. Even Heavenly Court lost to this demon Fong Yuan. What is so strange about our Southern Border righteous path failing to deal with him? Even if the Southern Border Gu immortals did not admit this thought, they knew it inwardly. Adding on Fong Yuan's plentiful experience in extortion, these Southern Border righteous path forces could only give in. The extortion in this life was also different from the previous life. In the previous life, Fong Yuan mainly wanted to construct a year essence pool and thus extorted many precious and rare immortal materials. He did not need to do so in this life and changed the demands to other things, but they were still mainly immortal materials. A small portion of these immortal materials were used to fill up the deficiencies in the sovereign immortal aperture, like constructing White Steel Bowl Valley. The remaining large portion was in preparation for advancing the ranks of his immortal Gu. In this life, Fong Yuan had a lot more immortal Gu than in his previous life. Rank 6 immortal Gu occupied the majority, but they were too weak for him, being at rank 8. So large-scale refinement was necessary and would give rise to a great increase in Fong Yuan's comprehensive battle strength. He had done this in his previous life, and it would be much easier in this life since he had annexed Langya blessed land and had many refinement path immortal Gu. He planned ahead, preparing these immortal materials in advance. The gains from annexing apertures were almost processed completely. The whole sovereign immortal aperture's development had already reached 16%, this was already close to the highest limit he reached in his previous life. Moreover, he still had Lu Hao's and Bos Sherba's immortal apertures to annex, as well as Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. Killer moves were being familiarized, true inheritances were still being researched, and he was still comprehending human path. Fong Yuan made some time to go to the River of Time once again. He was unable to forget about his pure dream clone. Although the plan for the pure dream clone had received a setback, Fang Yuan thought of the Stone Lotus Island's future self killer move. Maybe I can use future self to bring over a Gu immortal level pure dream clone. The four Xuanzi in present and past pavilion were observing the river of time at all times, but they were simply unable to detect Fang Yuan's tracks. Fang Yuan understood present and past pavilion much more than them. He smoothly reached the Stone Lotus Island and used future self on the pure dream clone. However, Fang Yuan was disappointed as there were simply no changes in the pure dream clone. Is it because the pure dream clone is created from dream realms, most killer moves are ineffective on it? Or is it that the pure dream clone doesn't have a future where it becomes an immortal? Fang Yuan's pure dream clone was already at rank 5 peak stage, just a step away from undergoing immortal ascension. However, this step had fatal danger, so Fang Yuan wisely chose to stop. If future self is ineffective because the pure dream clone doesn't have a future where it is an immortal, does this mean there is no hope for the pure dream clone's tribulation with my current strength? Thinking of this, Fang Yuan suddenly felt somewhat interested. There is no harm in trying. He immediately activated the immortal killer move, exposing Heavenly Secret. This killer move used Heavenly Secret Immortal Gu as its core and could observe the contents of the following calamities and tribulations of the target. Blank. Exposing Heavenly Secret showed no effect on the pure dream clone. Is it because of the characteristics of the pure dream clone, or because exposing Heavenly Secret is currently unable to target dream path calamities and tribulations? Fang Yuan was perturbed. There were very few Gu worms that were effective on the pure dream clone. Relic Gu was effective because it was a human path Gu worm. The pure dream reality seeker physique body was a human body, so human path Gu worms were effective on it. But in fact, many other Gu worms were completely ineffective on the pure dream clone. Because the pure dream clone was created from dream realms and had the characteristics of dream realms. Fang Yuan had relied on dream path superiority to cross many obstacles before or stir up troubles, but he was now stumped by this superiority. Just like Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord, Duke Long and others were unable to contest lead soul into dream, even spectral soul had fallen asleep inside the dream realm, existing methods had negligible effect against dream realms. Fang Yuan actually had many methods to deal with calamities and tribulations. For instance, Calamity Beckoning Immortal Gu or Endless Trouble Killer move, but could these methods be able to deal with dream path calamities and tribulations? Fang Yuan shook his head in his mind, there was almost no chance. The only possibility is to develop a corresponding dream path killer move. However, Fang Yuan's dream path attainment level was stuck. In the 500 years of his previous life, he had not prioritized researching dream path and had pursued blood path. Not long after returning from the River of Time, Fang Yuan was pleasantly surprised as the Dragonman clone plan had made a progress. Xia clan expressed that Shang clan's treasure realm had Raging Wave Rising Dragon Fire, and they were currently in the process of trading for it. Shang clan's treasure realm, it should be the immortal aperture left behind by Shang clan's creator. After the ancestor died, it was left behind in Shangliang Mountain. Since Gu immortals are unable to enter it, even Shang clan Gu immortals don't know if it is a grotto heaven or a blessed land. Looks like the foundation of this treasure realm is much deeper than I estimated. Fang Yuan exclaimed at Shang clan's foundation. Shang clan had always been among the top few clans in the southern border Gu immortal world, and because of their unique geographical location, they had maintained harmonious relationships with other superforces. If Xia clan can get the Raging Wave Rising Dragon Fire, my Dragonman clone will have half of the obstacles remaining. Fang Yuan waited patiently while increasing his strength. With regards to using 5 restriction profound light chi, he was gaining more experience and insight, and was now able to use 4 different light chi at the same time. His soul cultivation was rising explosively every time. He had split his soul again for the Dragonman clone, but even so, his soul cultivation was gradually reaching 80 million man soul. The Dream Realm trading with Qi clan was continuing in secret. Qi Chuyu had come to terms with his situation. He had made one misstep and now could only fall deeper into it. Naturally, Fang Yuan never let go of his guard against him. This rank 8 Gu immortal was not a simple person and might retaliate if not handled properly. Fortunately, Fang Yuan had already chosen to support Qi clan in preparation for the future. Qi clan obtained Dream Path research results from the transactions. This gave Qi Chuyu pleasure amidst the pain. Since he had already made a terrible blunder by agreeing to this exchange, why not just continue with it? Qi Chuyu did not want to take a risk, but because Fang Yuan led him on this path, he could only clench his teeth and continue walking towards the abyss. In his free time, Fang Yuan's soul searched those Gu immortal souls. Although he had done this in his previous life, he still did it again in this life because he wanted to look into something. That was the ink effect. Compared to the previous life, the subtle differences in this life made Fang Yuan think deeply. An indescribably mysterious feeling had been lingering in his mind. Is this fate? Fang Yuan felt like he had touched a strand of the web weaved by Fate Gu. He gradually felt a strong premonition: if I continue researching this, my understanding of fate will become increasingly deeper. This is the best way to comprehend fate. After gathering more clues from a few more rebirths and making deductions, I might be able to conceive a mortal killer move that has the effect of fate. If I merge it with the profundities of luck path, that will be destiny, huh? Fang Yuan's mind jolted slightly and his eyes shined with bright light. Heavenly Court. Feng Jiugu was stationed in Embroidered Tower. This small pavilion was adorned with beautiful decorations. Its walls were red and its tiles were made of jade, looking exquisite and beautiful, but it lacked part of its foundational support. One could clearly see the traces of destruction on the immortal Gu house. In the sky above Embroidered Tower were 3 pieces of bloody skins directly sewn to the air that were still letting out traces of primal savagery. Back then, when reckless savage demon Venerable invaded Heavenly Court, he was stopped by Embroidered Tower. In the end, reckless savage demon Venerable destroyed half of Embroidered Tower, which was still unable to be repaired by Heavenly Court, but he also left 3 pieces of bloody skins behind. Ever since the defeat in Langya Blessed Land, Feng Jiugu had been immersed in a deep state of comprehension. He did not cultivate transformation path, but he came here purposely to comprehend a trace of transformation from these 3 bloody skins. This transformation was a kind of concept. It was the transformation of destiny. It was the injury of reckless savage demon Venerable. Reckless savage demon Venerable was strong while Embroidered Tower was weak, but the strong was forced to discard 3 pieces of skin by the weak. This was an unexpected change. Heavenly Court failed when invading Langya Blessed Land. Southern border Gu immortals chased Fang Yuan but were captured instead. These were also similar kinds of unexpected changes. This series of changes and transformations kept on resonating with depths of Feng Jiuji's soul. The deep state of comprehension gradually entered an optimal condition. Feng Jiuji's lips curled up into a smile. It seems that my next song will be Destiny Song. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1799, Swan Bujene falls into a trap. Chapter 1799, Swan Bujene falls into a trap. Western Desert. Fang Clan's headquarters. Guh. Fang Dichang coughed out a mouthful of blood and fell headfirst onto the ground. Father. Fang Yun, who was at the side, immediately rushed forward and supported Fang Dichang. Fang Dichang's injuries were serious and after he regained his footing, he was still shaky and dizzy. He quickly observed his condition and smiled bitterly. His brain suffered the highest damage. There was a huge crack in it that almost split apart his brain into 2. His soul was also injured and his physical body was surrounded by a strange green light that emitted wood path aura. Fang Dichang sighed as he looked at the giant palace in front of him. This palace was lofty like a mountain. Its green bricks and golden tiles emitted dense fragrance of plants and trees. There was solemnity but also liveliness. Carved on the plaque on the palace door were 3 large words, Divine Bean Palace. This immortal Gu house was created by Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. After all, it is comprehensive with no loopholes. I tried to deduce forcefully but suffered such a backlash. I underestimated a Venerable's power and was too hurried. Fong Di-chang sighed. Father, our Fong clan situation is not bad right now, we can take it slow. Fong Yun comforted. Fong Di-chang shook his head. Although the situation is stabilized, it is still not optimistic. Those clans are restraining themselves because they are shaken by our theft path killer move, but they have never given up on pressuring us. We must grasp every second and cannot slack. Yes, Father. Fong Di-chang looked at Divine Bean Palace and sighed again. Sigh, it is unfortunate that our Fong clan does not have any Wood Path Gu Immortal. This Divine Bean Palace's core is Wood Path. If there were a rank 7 Wood Path Gu Immortal assisting me, I would have a lot more progress in deducing this immortal Gu house. Western Desert was filled with deserts with oases decorating them. Wood Path and Water Path were the least cultivated paths in this region. Among the 5 regions, Southern Border had the most Wood Path Gu Immortals, while Eastern Sea had the most Water Path Gu Immortals. Fong Yun said after some thought, our Fong clan does not have a Wood Path Gu Immortal, but we have another Wisdom Path expert. You are talking about Swan Bujene. Fong Di-chang's gaze narrowed with a trace of vigilance flashing past it. Did he ask you to recommend him? Fong Yun shook his head. No, I am saying this myself. Lord Swan Bujene never signaled me, and in fact, after joining the clan, he has always stayed outside and never contacted me. Fong Di-chang's face relaxed only then. Swan Bujene is not of Fong clan after all, although he joined our clan. We need to keep this in mind. Father, you doubt Lord Swan Bujene's loyalty? Fong Yun scratched his head. Fong Di-chang narrowed his eyes. If I had his help, there would indeed be progress. But we can know a man's face but not his heart, especially in front of such an unmatched treasure like Divine Bean Palace. Even if he did not show this intention before, when he is in contact with this palace day and night, it is hard to not have greed. Fong Di-chang was still not assured, asking, are there any movements from Swan Bujene recently? Fong Yun replied truthfully, there are no movements. However, there are rumors targeting Lord Swan Bujene that says he is actually the inheritor of Old Man Lai Shen, a demonic descendant who was recruited by our clan. It is also rumored one clan will investigate this matter and verify Lord Swan Bujene's identity. Fong Di-chang snorted, these people are still trying to frame Swan Bujene. But this excuse has some substance to it. It is at least slightly more realistic than the previous rumor that said he was the demon Fong Yuan. Fong Di-chang sneered, having no idea that the previous rumor was actually truth, it was instead the recent rumor that was twisting the truth. Old Man Lai Shen was a one-clan Wisdom Path Gu Immortal, but because of an accident while cultivating, he lost himself and became a lunatic. He had rank 7 cultivation. His strength increased even further after going crazy. He caused huge losses to one clan and even slaughtered Gu Immortals of other righteous path forces. It led to an uproar during that period of time in Western Desert's Gu Immortal world. Several righteous path forces allied to besiege and kill Old Man Lai Shen. But no matter what they did, they could find no traces of Old Man Lai Shen. He had disappeared completely and this matter was left unresolved. Fong Di-chang said deeply, Swan Bujene has outstanding strength, he understands this kind of cheap trick. But it has not been long since he joined Fong clan, so it is normal for him to be regarded as a weakness of Fong clan. We need to pay attention to him and let him stay in Heavenly Dew Oasis. We can't let him make any rash moves that could give the enemies a hold on him. As for his identity, our Fong clan will clear it for him and give a perfect explanation to Western Desert's righteous path. The moment he finished speaking, Fong Di-chang's expression changed. Fong Yun saw the change and asked, what happened? Fong Di-chang's pale and weak face now had a trace of an ashen look. Swan Bujene sent a letter saying he reverse deduced and found a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal nearby who is likely to be the one who spread the rumors. He has already gone to catch them. Fong Yun was stupefied. What? According to the rules, Gu Immortals who were stationed to guard resources would have to report to the clan if they wanted to move out. They could only move after the clan approved of it. But Swan Bujene's action was the opposite, he moved first before reporting. Whether Fang clan agreed or not, he had left his stationed area and moved out. He is a lone cultivator in the end, his nature is wild. Fang Dichang gritted his teeth, as it so happened, he was heavily injured and could not deduce much at this moment. He could only contact Fang clan's first supreme elder Fang Gong and let him go reinforce Swan Bujene as quickly as possible. Fang Yun was slightly puzzled, the situation might not be so bad. Aren't we making too much fuss by sending first supreme elder as reinforcement? Lord Swan Bujene is a wisdom path Gu immortal, he must have definitely deduced before moving out and has confidence to handle this matter. Fang Dichang's expression was dark. Swan Bujene is indeed extraordinary, but he is prideful and this could be used by others to scheme against him. It would be terrible if those righteous path forces intentionally lured him and set a series of traps. If he is captured or killed, those clans could forge ironclad evidence and frame our Fang clan, then further suppress our clan. Naturally, this is only a possibility, let's just hope it is only me being pessimistic. More importantly, our Fang clan cannot make such a mistake at this crucial time. Fang Yun came to a realization and his expression also turned unsightly. He gave a forced smile, it should not be that serious, right? But the matter was that serious. When Fang Yuan reached the place, Wisdom Path Gu Immortal Wan Liang Han had a leisurely expression, Swan Bujene, you finally arrived, I waited for quite a while. The moment he finished speaking, the prepared immortal battlefield activated and trapped Fang Yuan. So it was a trap. Fang Yuan, who was disguised as Swan Bujene, sneered. His gaze shone as he looked at the 3 Gu immortals approaching him. These 3 Gu immortals were all rank 7. One was tall and thin, dressed in a green robe, and surrounded by whirlwinds. His name was Wan Shao. He spoke confidently, Swan Bujene, how can you even be a wisdom path Gu immortal? You actually jumped into our trap so easily. The second Gu immortal Wan Hao Guang's appearance could not be seen, his whole body was covered with light armor that emitted extremely high heat. The thick light armor emitted buzzing noises, Swan Bujene, if you are sensible, then let yourself be captured, side with our Wan clan and expose Fang clan, we won't make it difficult for you and even treat you as an honored guest. The third Gu immortal was the Wisdom Path Gu immortal who lured Fang Yuan, he was Wan Liang Han. His forehead was swollen and had an ugly appearance, but was smiling right now, friend Swan Bujene, as a Wisdom Path Gu immortal, you should be even more aware of the current situation. Even if you survive today, there will be endless troubles coming to find you in the future. You should not be in Fang clan at such a time. Fang Yuan sneered with a ruthless expression. His disguised appearance Swan Bujene looked skinny with long gray hair and a pair of black eyes which seemed to contain vicissitudes of life and ambition. He was trapped inside the immortal battlefield and also heard the 3 immortals' words, but there were no change in his expression. This was only natural. Because Fang Yuan had concealed his strength, not only just these 3 rank 7s, even if there were 3 rank 8s, he would be fearless and even happy. The 3 Wan clan immortals thought they had trapped Fang Yuan, little did they imagine Fang Yuan returned from southern border this time to especially deal with them and create a commotion in western desert. In the recent period of time, Wan Liang Han had been repeatedly deducing Fang Yuan had Emperor Yama's protection that had no flaws, but this still reduced his soul foundation and it was quite annoying, so he had to get rid of them this time. Fang Yuan immediately opened his immortal Aperture's entrance and released soul beasts. Desolate soul beasts and ancient soul beasts came out one after the other, shocking Wan clan's immortals. Was he not a wisdom path Gu immortal? How could he control so many soul beasts? No matter how many soul beasts you bring out, it is useless in this immortal battlefield. Wan Shao activated the immortal battlefield, a giant tornado immediately sprang up and slowly moved towards Fang Yuan. Soul beasts were densely packed around Fang Yuan and following his gradual mobilization, the quantity kept on increasing. How can he have so many soul beasts? Wan clan's 3 immortals were increasingly shaken. This Swan Bujene was clearly a wisdom path Gu immortal but actually controlled such a huge soul beast army, wasn't he neglecting his main path too much? The tornado's speed became even faster and neared Fang Yuan's soul beast army. Soul beasts roared and counterattacked, but the tornado seemed to have heavenly might in this immortal battlefield. Although it was weakened, it was extremely stable. Fang Yuan personally activated a killer move to block the tornado. One clan's 3 immortals' shock slightly decreased when they saw the killer move. Fang Yuan used a wisdom path killer move instead of a soul path killer move. It won't do like this, he seems to have an endless amount of soul beasts. I will attack. Wan Hao Guang shouted. Go, we will protect you. Wan Liang Han agreed. Wan Hao Guang killed his way through the soul beast army. He was extremely fast, fully showing the superiority of light path. Every time Fang Yuan mobilized the soul beast army to besiege him, Wan Liang Han and Wan Xiao activated killer moves to protect Wan Hao Guang. With their excellent coordination, Wan Hao Guang broke through to the center. Fang Yuan's expression did not change as he let out another 4 soul beasts. Ha! Wan Hao Guang's momentum paused violently as he blurted out in fright, immemorial soul beasts. Wan Liang Han and Wan Xiao were dazed, both calling out in an incredulous tone, 4. 1. Even if you are physically close to someone, you cannot know what he is thinking. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1800, Distracting Thoughts Generation. Chapter 1800, Distracting Thoughts Generation. An immemorial soul beast had rank 8 battle strength, and 4 of them appeared at the same time. An absurd feeling rose up in the hearts of the 3 Wan clan immortals. Fang Yuan commanded the 4 immemorial desolate beasts to guard him. He wore a black robe and had his hands behind his back. He stood on one of the immemorial desolate beasts and said with disdain, "You plan to trap me with just the 3 of you?" Wan Liang Han's eyes twitched. Wan Zhao's expression was ashen. Wan Hao Guang's heart sank sharply. Swan Bujene's strength far surpassed their expectation. All of them realized, Swan Bujene might have already guessed this was a trap, but he still came. Anyone would be confident if they had such a trump card. Wan clan's 3 immortals felt that it was too late for regret now. Calm down. He is a wisdom path Gu immortal after all, he must be forcing himself to control the 4 immemorial soul beasts. Right, these 4 immemorial soul beasts might even be all bark and no bite. Even if they are real, I want to see how well his wisdom path and soul path can coordinate. The 3 immortals stabilized their morale and attacked Fang Yuan once again. Fang Yuan did not attack and only defended. Thus, when looked from the outside, Wan clan's 3 immortals appeared to be occupying the upper hand. Wan Xiao controlled an immortal battlefield while also activating killer moves, throwing out wind spears that heavily injured or killed one ancient soul beast with every strike. Wan Hao Guang was covered in a thick armor of light. He ran wildly amidst the soul beast army, slaughtering them as he passed. Wisdom Path Gu immortal Wan Liang Han commanded the battle, while also constantly deducing Fang Yuan's location in the soul beast army. As the battle continued, Wan clan's 3 immortals felt an increasing headache. Because even though they had killed many, the amount of soul beasts Fang Yuan was releasing continued to increase. These soul beasts were united and covered Fang Yuan from all directions, forming tight defensive lines. With such a densely packed soul beast army, the best method of Wan clan's 3 immortals was to use large area of effect killer moves. However, every time they used such killer moves, Fang Yuan would move to disrupt the killer moves. Even if there were some attacks that went through, it did not change the overall situation. As the area of effect killer moves were mostly ineffective, Wan clan's 3 immortals were forced to use single target killer moves to kill the soul beasts one by one. They were using the tactic of beheading the leader, trying to pave a path to kill Fang Yuan. Wan clan's 3 immortals had tacit cooperation, each of them was excellent in fighting and their cooperation was tight with no flaws. The 3 immortals supported each other, causing their battle strength to be extremely strong. Even one at peak rank 7 battle strength would be in a difficult situation when facing them. Unfortunately, they were facing the monster known as Fang Yuan. The four immemorial soul beasts formed the core defensive line. After several rounds of attacks, this defensive line's power made one clan's three immortals feel increasingly hopeless. Damn it, there are too few chances. Wan Haoguang called out discontentedly. He had just found a gap which could allow him to break through to the central defensive line, but many ancient soul beasts rushed to fill the gap almost immediately. There are too many soul beasts here. Swan Bujene can actually command such a powerful soul beast army. The most annoying thing is he can clearly use this strength to try and break our immortal battlefield, but he chose to protect himself so tightly instead. Wan Xiao mumbled with a dark expression. Wan Lianghan's expression was similarly unsightly. I had underestimated this Swan Bujene. If he chose to attack, we would have more opportunities. But he is choosing to guard himself. Fang clan's reinforcements are probably already on the way. What should we do? Wan Xiao looked towards Wan Lianghan. This situation was quite awkward for them. Their plan had been to combine their strength and capture Swan Bujene quickly. Even if Swan Bujene had peak rank 7 battle strength, this plan had a huge chance of succeeding. However, when Fang Yuan took out 4 immemorial soul beasts, their plan was immediately shaken. When Fang Yuan chose to turtle himself, Wan clan's plan was already destroyed. Wan Lianghan was a wisdom path Gu immortal. Although his attainment level was not as high as Fang Dichang's, he was extremely sharp and already had the intent to retreat. However, it was not easy to retreat at this moment. The immortal battlefield had been set up. If they took the initiative to cancel it, it would lead to a huge opening. Swan Bujene was also a wisdom path Gu immortal. How could he give up such an opportunity? Moreover, the current situation was not completely hopeless. Wan clan's 3 immortals naturally still had trump cards to use. Wan Lianghan had a rare moment of hesitation. Fang Yuan was calm and composed. Were he to reveal his true strength, these 3 Wan clan immortals might immediately start begging for mercy. However, he did not want to do so. Wan Lianghan definitely needed to die. This rank 7 wisdom path immortal was deducing him repeatedly and pestering him. As for the other 2, Fang Yuan wanted to see them live. Back when he disguised as Swan Bujene, Fang Yuan specially prepared a set of wisdom path immortal Gu and methods for this identity. At present, these methods had become even more plentiful. Fang Yuan secretly activated immortal Gu distracting thoughts to prepare an immortal killer move. Wan Haoguang's vision was filled with all kinds of soul beasts. From outside, the soul beast army looked like an overflowing blot of ink, and Wan Haoguang's thick armor of light looked like a speck of light that was submerged in the pitch-black ink blot. Wan Haoguang was trapped in all directions, but he showed no cowardice or intention to escape. Forward, forward, forward. He was like a sharp sword that pierced through the densely packed soul beast army before finally stabbing towards Fang Yuan. However, all his advances were in vain. Most of the time, he would lose his momentum in the middle, and in the few cases where he almost succeeded, he was blocked by the 4 immemorial soul beasts. There are 6 ancient soul beasts in front. They are tall and sturdy, forming into 2 rows. There are 2 ancient soul beasts at the rear. They are very fast and are always trying to draw my attention. I cannot stop. Once I stop and get entangled with them, this advancement will be considered a failure. But I cannot charge forward directly. The ancient soul beasts in the front are clearly the wall controlled by Swan Bujene. It is a thick defensive line. I can only change my direction. Right. The ancient soul beast at the front left side looks like a mantis. This appearance means it has powerful offense but weak defense. I will charge through this side. Wan Haoguang was a light path Gu immortal and had a mystical light path killer move that could create thoughts of light in his mind. He could think extremely fast using these kind of thoughts. It was because of this killer move, Wan Haoguang could always think about all possibilities in an instant. He chose the most correct path to break through amidst the huge army. Wan Haoguang charged forward. Although he suffered a heavy strike from the mantis-shaped ancient soul beast, he avoided the awkward situation of being pincer attacked. I succeeded. I can still continue charging forward. In this current situation, before I retreat, there is still hope. I am the main attacker, I have to put a lot of pressure on Swan Bujene from the front. With Wan Zhao's and Wan Lianghan's methods, there will be a chance to kill Swan Bujene. The situation just now was actually quite dangerous. If this mantis soul beast did not happen to have weak defense, I would not know what to do. If Swan Bujene cultivated soul path or enslavement path, there might not have been any hope just now. But Swan Bujene cultivates wisdom path. He has still not shown a killer move that coordinates with soul path. He should not have such a method. But just by being able to control 4 immemorial soul beasts shows his power. This is clearly a peak rank 7 expert. If he had a fitting soul path method, he might even be able to resist a rank 8 Gu immortal for several moves. If I can kill such an enemy, I will definitely make a huge contribution to the clan. With such a remarkable battle merit, I can even boast when I run into Lady Xiao in the future. Wait a moment. I am in a battle right now, how can I split my attention and think about personal relationships? Thinking about it, Lady Xiao is really cute. Although she does not have shocking beauty, she is kind and sensible, she is truly my ideal woman. But why doesn't she accept my love? Maybe, I should change my way of pursuing her. I should send 1 or 2 small gifts. If the gift is too expensive, it will lose its meaning. I should weave a straw toy puppet and give it to her, would she be happy with it? This is a good idea. Besides the straw puppet, I can also weave a straw rabbit, a straw hat, or a straw mantis. That mantis soul beast just now looked like the kind of mantis I used to catch when I was a child. Boom! A huge sound erupted as Wan Haoguang was besieged by soul beasts. Heavy attacks struck his armor from all directions. Wan Haoguang's thought process had turned chaotic and he could no longer concentrate in the battle, causing him to suffer these heavy attacks. His armor was heavily deformed and he was muddled and dizzy. Wan Xiao saw Wan Haoguang in danger and quickly activated an immortal killer move to break the encirclement. But right at this moment, Wan Lianghan suddenly shouted, "Don't." Wan Zhao's reaction speed was slightly slower now for some reason, he had already activated the immortal killer move. The killer move's activation failed and a violent gale backlashed, slashing his hands to a pulp. His body shook like he was zapped by lightning, blood flowed out of his nostrils and his face was deathly pale. Oh, he is a wisdom path Gu immortal after all, he finally reacted. Feng Yuan smiled lightly under the heavy protection of the Soul Beast army. The killer move he had used just now was distracting thoughts generation, it could make the enemies within a certain range develop distracting thoughts. The killer move's effect was not obvious at the start. But as time passed, the enemies would have more distracting thoughts which would disturb their normal thinking process. Wan Haoguang was influenced by the distracting thoughts first since he was the nearest to Feng Yuan. He split his attention in the battlefield and thought of other things, causing him to be encircled and attacked. Wan Xiao was disturbed by this move and suddenly had distracting thoughts when he activated his immortal killer move. The killer move failed and he suffered heavy injuries. Wan Lianghan was a wisdom path Gu immortal, he sensed something wrong and decided resolutely, this Swan Bujene is truly sinister, he actually has such a peculiar method. We didn't know his details and were not prepared, thus suffering a huge loss. The opportunity is already lost now, we should now return and think of a method to break this move before we go against him in the future. Just as he was thinking, whoosh! The large soul beast army moved like an open dam, countless soul beasts rushed out like a tidal flood. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.